Hello.
Hello, mate. I was asking you if you were here. That's
Oh
what.
yeah, I was busy.
No worries, mate. How are you doing? You're back home in
Um,
Slovenia at the moment, I think, aren't you?
I am back in Slovenia, yes.
Your hair's calmed down a little bit. When you came on the call earlier, you'd clearly just showered. Have you dried it since
Clearly.
then?
No, I just let it do whatever it wants. It dries naturally.
Wow, that's a good. Is there any products you want to shout out, or like are you sponsored
No,
or anything?
I just got some 3-in-1 for my birthday, so I just used that. Some
Yeah.
shampoo.
I don't think you're going to show us because you're too shy, but you were telling me about these home workouts you've been doing, and
Yeah,
you turn your camera to show me, and you've put a bar on your staircase. Yeah, just please, let's have a look at this.
just a bar up here.
Yeah, and can you show us how like unstable that is? Just because
It's not that unstable.
when you were doing it, it literally looks like you're
Right.
gonna like fall over.
It's not that unstable, first of all. Look,
Okay.
you just grab yourself here, and then bam, you can go up. It's
Am-
fine.
Amazing work, amazing work. So
Huge.
what's motivated this? Why suddenly are we doing home workouts? I've never known you to be a gym man. I suppose you were doing a little bit
Um,
with your wrist when it was hurt.
Yeah, I mean, I just started doing it a bit
Friction.
more nowadays, recently, I guess the last 2 years, with Isma and Richard, our sports psychologist. They told me to do some gym, so
I mean,
started doing it a bit.
I suppose that's what happens, isn't it? When you break up with your ex, like lots of people go to the gym and stuff like that. And you've been broken up with so many times by G2 that like obviously the most recent time must have made it even more painful, no?
But I was doing it back then as well. They just didn't appreciate it. I think I was doing it more in G2 than I was doing it now.
That's fair enough.
But yeah,
S-
I guess so.
So what's
But it's
life
just
like?
like
Sorry, go on.
it's more efficient. It's more efficient before you go shower if you do some exercise because you might as well. Because what else are you gonna do it? So I try to do something at least before I go shower every time.
That's
Just a
fair
few
enough.
quick ones.
What's life like at home? Because yesterday you sent me a picture. You said, "Oh, I'm eating some lunch," and then you sent me a picture of it, and you were
It
eating
was
some.
dinner.
It was dinner, was it? And it was like some oats in a
Yeah,
bowl with water or milk. I can't remember what.
it was milk.
Milk, yeah. And you said, "Oh, the expiry date was two years ago," but my dad said it's going to be okay, and you ate it, and
Yeah,
yeah. So talk to me about
and then
that.
I'm here. It's fine. Well, it's a thing called chocolino. It's like some kind of powdery thingy you put in like milk, I guess, and then you mix it, and then you get some kind of meal, like a cereal type thing.
Do you always
And a lot of
sort of
kids eat that.
return to poverty when you go back to Slovenia, or like what happens? Like,
No, I always, you know, do the. I mean, this is something I ate since I was a kid, so I kind of wanted to taste it again. I was kind of craving it, but normally I kind of just make do whatever I have at home. And if there's no food at home, I kind of just starve. So yeah, I just eat whatever there is. If it expired 3 years ago, then that sucks.
they
But it
they don't
tasted
have
completely
Uber
fine.
Eats. They don't have Uber Eats or anything in Slovenia.
No, it doesn't. I mean, if I want to deliver, like order food, I need to call them. So that's one thing. I don't want to call people. And then if I want them to deliver it to my village, I need to order at least 3 or 4 pizzas. So I need to have more candidates that actually want pizza as well. So yeah, sometimes it's a bit rough in
Have
here.
you heard of it? There's this thing they've invented in the last 100 years called a supermarket. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, and the nearest supermarket is 10 minutes with a car. So that might be an issue.
You don't drive, do you?
I don't. I mean, I have a license. Last time I drove was in 2021. But the problem is we don't have any cars at home when I'm home alone. When everyone goes to their jobs and stuff, there's no cars.
So you're just like you're trapped. Like it sounds like you're in The Shining. Like you're just trapped in like a village in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, kinda. But I have a friend here from America that is kind of just staying at home. So if I'm hungry, I can go eat at his place. He usually makes me some food
So,
if it's a desperate situation.
so what, can I just ask why have you submitted yourself to this? Because like you just sounds like you're just trapped all day. What do you actually do on a day-to-day basis?
I kind of sit here and play solo queue or other games.
But
So
can you just do that in Berlin and then like actually be in civilization?
I could, but on Saturday, Sundays, I have cooked meals at home. And also this week, my dad is at home, so he cooks lunch. So that's nice.
Talk to me about your. I want to know more about your dad because I've met your mum, obviously, and I've met the rest of your family as well. Because
Yeah.
those who don't know the story, I've interviewed your mum on the YouTube channel and you at the same time. And there was also a time where after a play, it was in Munich after the playoffs, and I remember sitting outside with a load of people, I don't know how I figured out they were your family, but there's a bunch of Eastern Europeans and they were like complaining that they had to wait for so long. And then I realized it was your family that you'd forced to wait outside in the cold while you had to do media
What's that mean?
obligations. You had to do media obligations for G2. But I don't think I've ever met your dad. What's your old man like?
Um, yeah, I don't know. He's pretty chill. His English is maybe not the greatest. I think you met my family that has a bit better English, so you could communicate with them. But yeah, he kind of does a lot of different jobs, or did a lot of different jobs
Yeah, I
in the
remember
past.
that.
I think I talked to you about that. He
Yeah,
was like a firefighter and the what's it called, bodyguard at like events and stuff,
yeah.
and a PC guy, like a technician. Like my first PC I ever got was because he got it from his job for free, but then that company went to shit. So
And you look at something like
it
that
was
and you
also
go, you can only fucking play one role. So like you completely
I
you
mean cells because I was a mid laner back at some point.
yeah, but not a very good one though. Let's be
No, I
honest.
was. That's how I climbed to challenger. I played mid lane.
Oh, you were a challenger mid
At
laner,
some
were
point.
you?
Back then it was diamond one, but yeah, that's how I climbed from gold to diamond in my prime.
What champions were you playing? What was MikyX known for on mid?
I was known for my Nidalee. I was the best Nidalee in the world. Um, I could do the tech where you throw a spear and then you jump back, so it does more damage. That was quite revolutionary at the time. And then
Just
I
to
played
just to
Yasuo and
just to
Gragas.
clarify, some of the best Nidleys in the world. I mean, we're talking about I mean, Faker was pretty good at Nidley at that time. So
No, he was
he's
alright.
I mean, that's kind of the
My
first the
my
first time
idol
we
was
saw
Bishu
him.
at the time.
Bishu, yeah, he's another one. That's one I was trying to remember on. He played in NA for a bit, didn't
Uh,
he?
yeah,
Yeah. So you were better than both of those guys, were you?
probably. Yeah.
That's incredible.
I still
Um,
remember one time in gold, a Shaco jungle asked me if I'm a Smurf, and I was like, not really, but I'm pretty fucking good, eh?
It's
Yeah,
crazy to me that despite everything you've achieved, like being one of the only Western players to win an
that
international
Shaco.
ever, you still remember that Shaco in gold. What year was that in?
2013. Oh no, was 2013? Yeah,
Yeah, so you
2013.
still
Season
remember
three.
that from 12 years ago. But if I ask you what you had for breakfast 3 days ago, you probably wouldn't be able to tell me.
I was probably starving 3 days ago. Wait, what day was it? 1, 2, 3. It was Sunday, so I had lunch at. Oh, I was at my friend's house. We had meatballs
Amazing.
and
So,
mashed potatoes.
so
So
you and your friend, do you presumably have a close connection because you're both people that have escaped Slovenia? Because you said he's American. What
he's
what
from
bring
America,
what
yeah.
what bring? So he was from America originally. Why is he in Slovenia? Does he have Slovenian family or?
He's yeah, he's married to a Slovenian that is a relative of mine. So that's why he lives here in our village.
Oh wow. So is that how you became friends?
Pretty much, yeah.
That's pretty cool. Does he know anything about League or not really?
Yeah, he watches, but
Yeah,
he's never played the game, but he learned the game by just watching. It's kind of impressive. Like he actually knows a lot about the game
that's pretty cool. And
just
do you have
watching.
any updates for us in terms of the last time I spoke to you on an interview, we talked about how you're sort of like a bad person in regards to how you like play video games against your younger siblings. Like you don't like let them win ever, and you're kind of quite a
Oh
tyrant
yeah,
in that regard. You got any updates for us on
of
that? Have you
course.
playing any video games with siblings, cousins, stuff like that?
Not really. As you can see, my TV got taken, and my PlayStation is in Germany, so I didn't really play anything with them.
Oh, so you've just started neglecting them now.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's good. Are
I
you
need to train harder.
are you waiting for some of them to like get old enough to like play Magic the Gathering and stuff like that? Like things that actually
I am
interest you?
waiting, yeah.
Do you think any of them
But
have any potential, or you just don't think they're ever going to make it in that
it's
regard?
cooked. It's cooked. Too much TikTok.
Do you think you would make it again if you had to come up now? Like if you had to restart your pro
Probably, yeah.
career now? You think so? What is it
Yeah.
about you? Because like for me in my family, not to be a dick about it, but like, and I hope my brother's not watching. My brother probably is watching. My brother watches my interviews. But like I look at my two younger brothers and like they don't like some of the things that I'm good at, they just don't have. Without being a dick about it, like they're they're smart at other things. Like my smallest brother, Lawrence is his name. He's 15 now. He's got this weird thing where he's like good at like every activity he does. So it's like if you take him rock climbing, he'll learn like he'll get really good at it like within like a week. If you like when he lived in South Africa for a year because he lived with my grandparents and he did surfboarding and he like was standing up on the board within like 2 weeks and the instructor was like, "Oh, that's mental. We've never seen anyone do that." So that's what he's good
Oh,
at. But then when it comes to school, he's not very good. Unfortunately,
mm.
sorry to say. Garth as well, my middle brother, who he helps out with some Ruddy stuff as well. He's a big fan of yours as well. Actually, really likes you. Um, yeah, he's good with money. He's like a money guy. Where like I'm terrible at money. Like as you can tell, like despite interviewing Faker, I went homeless. Garth is like always good at like making money. But like we're very different. So I wanted to ask you, what is it about you that made you go pro? And like how different is that? Like where do you see your traits from your family and where do you see yourself as an outlier from your genetics?
Mm, I mean, I think mostly just about what kind of mindset you have. I feel like everyone can become like a pro at something if they have a good enough mindset for it. Um, because as long as you are willing to sacrifice other things and just focus on one thing and just work towards it, like on a daily, I think it's not that difficult to achieve it. And I feel like I could do that with whatever game I would want to go pro in. I mean, it helped that like I only decided to go pro after I actually got like to diamond, I guess, with my Nidalee climb.
There's lots of
But
people out
I feel
there doing that as well. I mean, when I got to Diamond 4, I went pro in the NLC as well. So
that's true. Yeah. So you see, everyone can do it.
yeah,
You're a
literally,
prime example.
anyone. Emphasis on anyone. No, sorry, carry
So
on.
yeah. No, but I'm pretty sure like if I wanted to go pro in a different game, I could do it just because I would put that much time into it, I guess. And I didn't really have much else I was aspiring to be. Like I didn't have any dream jobs or something that I wanted to do. Like at some point, I was like, oh, I like animals, so maybe I go become a vet. But then I was like, ah, that's too much studying. I'm not doing that shit. And then I watched season 1 Worlds, and I was like, well, that's pretty cool. Maybe I could try that. And then season 3, I guess I got kind of high elo. So
No,
then
it's
I
good. You
started
kind of became
actually
a vet
trying.
anyway. You've had to look after a few dogs in your time.
Pretty much, yeah. I really like my animals.
Yeah, fair enough. Cool. I think that pretty much brings us to kind of the end of any life updates. Cool. So let's get right into it. Kind of off the bat, I like to go around about, and we get to this when we get to the meat and potatoes. But you unfortunately have decided to have your interview scheduled the day after the Grabs interview, where he did actually make a series of comments about you. And it is for once I'm not the elephant in the room, so I mean, we may we may as well address it. Grabs yesterday, basically to give some full context for those who haven't seen that interview because it's not been released on YouTube yet. And the only way you could have seen it is if you saw it live or if you've subscribed to the channel to watch the VODs. Basically, what it boiled down to, he said, MikyX is a player to whom he only cares about being first. Being first is paramount to him, and anything from second to eighth, it doesn't matter to him. Would you say is that a fair assessment from your old man Grabs at Fnatic?
Yeah, he was right on that one. Yeah, I feel like it doesn't really matter if you don't win in the end.
But eighth means you don't go worlds, surely. Surely going to worlds matters.
Yeah, that's true. And like going to Worlds is nice and all, but I feel like if you're going to Worlds as a second or third seed from Europe, you don't have much chance of actually winning the whole thing. Like if you're going as fourth from LCK, I guess you have a chance, or third. But I feel like from Europe, it's maybe a bit of a tough one. Like it's still nice, but yeah, probably you have a lot more hope to actually make it somewhere if you win the split.
It's sort of the mindset if you can't beat the guys in Europe, you've got no chance against people in China and Korea.
That's kind of how I think about it. Yeah.
For sure. Coming into this year, I mean, obviously to kind of talk a little bit more about his comments there, the implication was from him that he didn't really think you worked quite as hard as you could have. Do you think that's a fair assessment? Because if we're to infer that you think that winning is all that matters, and if second through eight doesn't matter, to be inferred from that is that once it's assumed that you can't get first, that potentially some motivation might drop off. Is that a fair assessment of your year in Fnatic last year?
Mm, Probably not the whole year, but you could probably make a case for like the end of summer where I didn't really feel like we could do much until we won against Casey. Then I got my hope back, and then he got shattered the next day against Koi. But yeah, it was basically just winter and spring. I feel like I was, doing whatever I could do. Like, I mean, throughout the whole year, we were still like playing 2v2s with upset, trying to get people scheduled 2v2s to actually practice some stuff instead of just playing solo queue mindlessly. We were doing some VOD reviews as well. Um, yeah, I guess depends how you categorize trying, I guess. Like if playing one more solo queue game instead of going gym means you're trying harder, maybe that's you could say that I wasn't trying as hard because I was going gym instead of playing solo queue in the morning for like maybe an hour or two. But besides that, I feel like in winter and spring, I got very emotionally invested. So it was very frustrating to play these two splits because it felt like, because I already also told this to my team after spring, like it felt like a lot of people preferred being correct in the game rather than actually winning the game. And that kind of happened like on stage, like twice, where I had to tell people to shut the fuck up on stage, which never happened in my whole career. I was so angry. But
That's quite, for someone
yeah,
that knows you decently well. That's quite. I can't really imagine you doing that. I
yeah,
think
me
I've
neither.
only ever heard you say "shut the fuck up" like jokingly, but you're saying it was angrily.
Yeah, it was some. I mean, it was basically just like discussing what's happening in the game. Something that already happened. We were discussing like what was actually correct in that moment instead of just focusing on what's happening in the game and actually playing the game out, and then talk about it after the game. So that was something that yeah, kind of made me a bit mad, yeah. And then yeah, I mean, after summer, I felt like, I mean, after spring, I guess, where we had the whole roster changes, I felt like we were not really going in the way to win the split, I guess. So like after 2-3 weeks, I can't, like, after repeating the same mistakes from winter, spring, and then going to summer as well, I didn't feel like talking to the players about their things they were doing wrong would actually fix it, because it didn't really matter in winter and spring when we talked about it. So yeah, in that sense, I gave up on it. I gave up on telling people the mistakes they were doing, and yeah, trying to make it work. I guess I was kind of just doing my own thing. I just talked with Upset. We did our 2v2s, and I guess another thing I gave up on was probably draft. Yeah, I think I realized throughout the year that my opinions about drafts kind of got overshadowed anyway. So I was kind of just doing whatever other people thought was good. So I just kind of gave my opinion, or like my idea of what I can play. And then someone says, "Oh, I think this champ is good." Then I'm like, "Sure, let's play that." And then we play that. So yeah, that was kind of it.
That's fair. And just to kind of get context on you, because I'm sure that that information has come to pass in the past, but just out of interest, are you someone that typically has a lot of input on draft in teams you're in? You think you have a lot of ideas towards draft?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that, like, for myself, I'm kind of not, I wouldn't say a pessimistic person, but I feel like I don't have that many strengths. But I would say one of my strengths is probably drafting. Like, I feel like I have a good idea of what champs work well together and against enemy champs, and I have a good champion pool myself. So usually I do give a lot of ideas of what I think is good or what could work. Especially for my role, like I'm always down to go like 4-5 and then pick something a bit more unorthodox, I guess. But a lot of people are not big fans of that.
Yeah,
They
so
don't want to say
you
Santa
play a lot
support,
of your Kasane support recently. I saw that.
for example. Yeah. But yeah, that's about it.
Fair enough. So to kind of give it an overview, it was kind of it feels like to kind of play devil's advocate here, and I have to because just anyone that's watching this can tell that we're friends, and if I don't give you pushback, then it's a biased
Yeah.
interview. And I gave a fair shake to Grabs, and I feel like I've got to give a fair shake to you as well. Devil's advocate perspective is obviously it feels like, well, that's all very fair and well, but you're a professional and you're supposedly a leader with the experience you have, leader with an Leader, just to clarify. Um,
Yeah.
you're a leader, obviously. You're one of the only players, well, the only player on that team with a much domestic. You're one of the most winningest players in Europe. Is it not your responsibility, with the amount that you get paid, to keep that mindset and that leadership quality throughout the entire year? What's the justification for allowing that to fall off?
Mm, I mean, you could say that, I guess. But yeah, for me, I think it was too mentally draining to keep doing it for the rest of summer split as well. But I feel like I'm also like, as a person, I'm not the type of person to just be able to like lead a team, I guess. I think in our team it was mostly like Upset that was the one trying to lead the team. I think he was doing a good job at that. But like, if no one steps up, I can be the one to do it, because for example in Excel, I feel like I was that person. I was trying to do a lot of things that Perks was doing back in G2, like making sure that my team is like watching bots together and stuff. But yeah, in this team I didn't really feel like it would make an impact, and Upset was kind of doing it anyway. Like, I feel like Upset was probably the only person I can say that was trying his best from like throughout the whole year, I guess. So yeah, props to him, I guess.
You think he
I
gets
could
a
not do it.
do you think he gets a bad rep? So I think with upset, it's something I was talking about yesterday. Is I think people are quite horrible about upset. I mean, everyone calls him potential man, almost man, all these kind of memes about him, which like are fun for a laugh on Twitter. I mean, I can't pretend I haven't laughed at one or two of them before. It's a thing where whenever I speak to someone who's played with him, they're always very quick to talk about how hard he works. So I wondered if maybe you could set the record straight in some ways or add to maybe dispelling the narrative about him, what your opinion of working with Upset this year was.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I mean, I could support that claim. I guess he's probably one of the most hardworking people I have worked with. Like, despite everything going on around him, he's still trying his best, and he's also very, I guess, good at wording stuff. I guess in like when he talks to people or like confronts people. I guess he's more like he confronts people a lot easier. Like for me, it's very hard to do so, especially in like a team setting. I rather like talk to people one on one and talk to them about the problems. But Apps is quite good at doing that in like a team setting and wording it very well, and just not giving up, I guess. Like the only like downsides I could say for like Upset would maybe be that he's sometimes very stubborn in his view of the game, I guess. So he will need a lot of convincing to, be proven that he can be wrong. But a lot of times, the stuff he's saying has like reasonable logic behind it or like arguments. So a lot of times he is very right, but maybe he thinks that that makes it so he's always right. So sometimes it's hard to convince him that maybe he's not quite accurate about that. So he needs people around him that are also smart to tell him when he's wrong. Because in general, he is quite a smart person. So I think that's also why he would not go for like stuff that he doesn't think it's like worth the risk. Like there is for sure like situations where he could maybe do like more damage or like step up and hit more people, but it could result in just him dying and then giving another kill. But there's also players that will just go for that and they might just win the game or they might just lose the game. Like you never know. Like Karj is a good example where he just like flips the game by himself and he's like a very coin flip player, where I think his upset is a lot more calculated in that regard. So you can, in a sense, you can say he's like there is some merit to the KDA allegations, but I don't think it's like extreme. I think he plays quite smart about his limits. But yeah, like he doesn't want to flip the game just to see if it's gonna work, I guess. But yeah, so in general, I have a good view of upset, or like my idea of him is good, I guess.
And you had a good view of him going into the year, I think, because I remember speaking to you about Fnatic at a certain point. And one of the reasons you were talking about is that you thought quite highly of Upset. He's one of the best options of players you could play with. How did your view going in adjust according to the year? Did anything meet your expectations, change your expectation? What surprised you?
Mm, I think for the most part, it was kind of what I expected. Like, I mean, I guess a lot of people from the past said he was like maybe hard to work with or like toxic, but I didn't really feel like that was the case. I felt like he was quite good at, you know, I guess talking to people or being, not toxic, I guess at least. He would choose his words at least. If there was anything, yeah, not really. I mean, no, I think I had kind of same expectations as what I got. Like, it was pretty good for me at least.
One of the things that struck me when I spoke to Grabs, because it's interesting to speak to him as well, because it's obviously the G2 kind of look back as well, is one of the things I was poising to him. He kind of didn't necessarily agree with this completely, but it's what I was getting from what he was saying, is like kind of all of you on G2, at least to me, from interacting with all of you personally and also seeing how that team worked at the time, it seemed like you know how you have that thing with players where it's like with Inspire, for example, everyone's like he's toxic, but then other people would go, oh, but he just wants to win. And it was the same with Forgiven, even though Forgiven is
Yeah.
obviously a bit more of a dick as well. Love to speak Forgiven if you're out there. Love to speak to you, by the way. But it's one of those things where in G2 it's kind of like you were all like that simultaneously. You're all quite toxic in some ways in your own individual ways. But it's like because you all wanted to win so much, it kind of
Eh,
didn't really matter. Oh, you don't agree with that then?
nah, I don't think so. I think the only one I could say this for would maybe be like Perks. I think everyone else was kind of chill. I would say they were not like
Okay.
toxic. Um, yeah, I mean, of course, people get like frustrated and stuff, but you'll still be able to resolve it quite well. I think the most like long or like stubborn arguments was between like Caps and Perks. They were both they like their egos were clashing quite often. But I think for the rest of us, we were kind of just like spectators in that one. I think maybe in 2021, I remember Wunder and the Ankos were getting a bit passive aggressive toward each other, but that was about it.
I
But
think
yeah,
I would find that so funny. I would just not be able to take it seriously at all. Because like I love Jankos so much, like, and I loved working with him as well. I think he doesn't. I don't know. I think he gets the impression that like I've got a problem with him because of the whole Judas meme. But like I actually loved working with him so much, and he's such a professional. But he's so funny because it's like literally sometimes he just has like such a pole up his ass. Like, and it's like his whole body has to like be upright because he's got such a pole up his ass sometimes. Whereas like Wunder in contrast is just like I would hate to argue against that guy because it's
it's
just
true.
like he's just so passive aggressive and like just so like he's kind of like me in the sense of like so willing to like within a millisecond go from being like sarcastic to serious to where
Yeah,
you can never win because it's just like the minute you get serious with him he's going to go right back to being sarcastic and then you just feel like an idiot again. So
and he's
like
quite smart, so
yeah,
it's easy for him
he's
to make you feel
smart.
like
He's
an idiot.
smarter than he comes off. He's smarter than he pretends to be dumber than he is as well, which makes it even worse. How did those arguments between Wunder and Yankos play out? 'Cause I would just be laughing the entire time.
I mean, it was a lot like Jankos, right? Sometimes he makes like some stupid comments, and then Wunder would take that like as a stupid comment, and then he would also
And
respond with a stupid comment.
I can
Yeah,
imagine Wunder doing the thing where like Yankos says something stupid, and then Wunder just brings it up like every time for the next like 3 weeks. He's just like yeah, Nidalee looks good here, like just every time he can. Was it kind of like that or
yeah.
not really?
I mean, I just remember there was one play or something where Wunder was playing GP. It was like 2021, we were scrimming, and Wunder was playing GP, and he like was low, and then he didn't. He basically just waited on the tower to catch the wave, and then he died because he got the enemy jungler. And the Jankos asked something about like, can't you just like base and TP back or something like this? And the Wunder thought it was like a very stupid question. I don't know what he responded. Basically, afterwards he said something like, if you're gonna ask stupid questions, you're gonna get stupid answers or something like this. So that was basically. But that's the only thing that I remember where I was like, oh shit, it's getting spicy. Yeah, that was the only thing I remember from these two at least. I think for the other 3 years was pretty
And
chill.
Caps and Perks is interesting because Perks is like they're kind of the opposites in some ways. We're talking about Grabs about this, whereas like Caps is just like he like laughing like a little fairy in the forest like all day. But then he has that moment where like I don't know if you've seen it. I've seen him do it in real life, and you've seen him do it
Yeah,
in
the
clips.
dark caps.
You know when he you know when he just like it's like I hate to say it like this, but it's like you know when I can't say it in any way that's not offensive. But it's like he'll just go from like being like laughing and it's like and then
Yeah.
he's like locked in and he's like just staring into space, like he's like proper annoyed at something. Whereas in contrast, what Grabs was talking about with Perks is that like he told us a story about when you came and boot camped in London at the Red Bull Gaming
Yeah.
Sphere, the underground thing, and Perks'
Oh yeah.
PC went off, and like everyone just like felt in the room this
That
like
was mega funny. Yeah.
this like devilish aura. And then he looked at Perks, and Perks surprisingly was actually just like, "Oh, it's okay. Can I please use your PC caps?" So it's like they both had
Yeah.
these kind of like binaries. So talk to me a little bit about that. When they came to heads, like how was it? How was it? How did it play out?
Mm, I mean, most of the time it would play out with them like arguing for like 5 to 10 minutes about something, like a point, and then both would just say, "Let's agree to disagree," and that was it. That was the end of the discussion. But like most of the time, the thing was just, "Let's agree to disagree," and then we go next point. But
Yeah,
yeah, sometimes Wunder would like step in and say what he thinks from like a solo lane perspective, I guess, because mostly we were just talking about like who should be pushing what wave or who should be getting what wave and stuff like this. So yeah, but that was mostly what our discussions were about.
what do you think is the thing that people get wrong about that G2 dynamic? Because I feel like even for me as a fan of that roster before I became friends with some of you guys, it's a thing where it's like you kind of want to understand it and you want to put it into sports context. And like I was talking to Grabs about it yesterday, and I found myself just doing it naturally. Like, oh, was Caps and Perks' relationship? Was it kind of like Perks being the older brother, Caps being a younger brother? But then you realise that the nature of it in real life is that things just aren't as complicated as this sometimes. So I wanted to kind of ask you, what do you think people get wrong about those dynamics there? For you, from your perspective, what's the truth of all of the five of you as a unit? How do you see it?
Mm, I mean, I would say I guess Perks was mostly like the older brother of everyone because also he
Okay.
was kind of like he was kind of G2, you know, like
Yeah.
so he was kind of dictating most
I
of the
mean,
stuff, and
you took that from him. He was the GM, and now you're the GM as well. So you.
I guess yeah. And we were pretty successful back then, some would say, when players were making the rosters. But anyway, let's pass that. And I mean, I think he would just be nice because he would always push us to do better. Like, and he would understand how everyone works, you know. Like he would do like one-on-one meetings with everyone. He would like make us do bot reviews like every day at like 10 p.m. after scrims when we were shit. Like if we were fine, if we were good, we were just like winning. It was like whatever, you know. But then we started losing at some point. Then there was like emergency. Everyone has to like watch some VODs together or like go for one-on-ones and talk about issues or whatever. But I think, I mean, I'm not sure if there was like a certain dynamic. I think everyone was just like good friends that got along
It
well
sounds
and
like that.
had a
It sounds like
similar.
that's the central dynamic that you're talking about. Is kind of Perks being this kind of senior figure.
I guess. I mean, maybe for me and Caps, yeah, because we were kind of new and we were kind of younger, I guess. But for Wunder and Jankos, because they already played the year before, and then also, I'm not sure if they are older, because Wunder is actually younger than me, but they seem older.
Yeah. Well, Windows
A
like
bit
a
more mature, I
Windows like
guess.
a fucking beanstalk,
Yeah.
mate. So you just immediately see it.
So I guess for me and Caps, maybe Perks would kind of be like the older brother, but I think in general we're all just kind of like a band of brothers, I guess, kind of thing, where we already got along before we got into a team together. Oh, that was also one thing that Grabs mentioned yesterday, that we got along because we won. That's also kind of cap. I feel like we got along just like from the start, and then we kind of just won scrims, so we're also just vibing throughout it. But it's not like we only became closer because we were winning. I feel like we were just good friends from the start. I think we had a lot of similar ideas of how to play the game, similar mindsets about how we approach like practice or like after practice. Like I feel like another important thing that we did that I kind of want to do with all the teams that I join was have like a talk before the year starts about like your expectations or how you react to certain things. Like let's say you lose a stage game or something, what do you like do afterwards? You know, do you want to play solo queue or whatever, whatnot? Because sometimes if you lose on stage and then you go home and you see one of your teammates is not actually playing solo queue, you're like, what the fuck, this guy doesn't want to win, we just lost, blah blah blah. If you talk about these kind of things beforehand, I feel like it's a lot easier to understand where people are coming
Yeah,
from
like
and how.
set an
Yeah,
expectation of how people deal with losses and how to deal with wins and
pretty
stuff
much. Yeah.
like that.
So I think that was pretty important for our, I guess, relationship and our run in back then.
How are the relationships between you and all the other G2 boys? Because obviously I know you and Wunder are still very close. Um, you didn't need to react to that. Like I just know that you're mates. You speak all the time. You know,
No, we
you
do.
tell me
Yeah.
that. I wanted to ask that because it's a thing where like you shared such a tight bond for such a time, such an intense 15-hour days, winning things, the peak of your probably your life. I hope I'm not over speaking. You know,
Yep.
winning MSI is like probably one of the biggest things that's ever happened to you.
Yep.
For you to have all experienced that, what is it like now? Because obviously some of them you've not teamed with again, some of them you have.
I guess with Wunder and Perks, I speak kind of regularly. Like I spoke to Perks today, for example. We were just like playing some solo queue, streaming it to each other, and just having a laugh. With Caps, he writes me sometimes. Like, I guess that's kind of a funny thing with Caps. Usually, he doesn't like write anyone. Like, but I guess recently he's been uh, a bit more talkative, so I like that. He didn't just forget me completely, because usually he just forgets everyone. Like I remember in 2021 when I left G2 for the first time. Okay, start 2022. When I remember when I left, I told him don't be a stranger, because I know he's a stranger to all his past teammates most of the
But
time.
that's quite not to make a thing of it, but that's quite sweet from you that you said that about him. It shows that you potentially were worried about that. Because like what
Yeah,
talk to me about your friendship with him, because he is he's a strange kid, strange guy, but
I mean,
in a wonderful way.
yeah, I mean, I really like talking to him because I mean we spent a lot of time together already, but we just have so many similar interests as well, like anime, Magic, League, like so many things we can talk about. So it always, whenever we talk, it feels like we could talk like for so many hours about random shit. So it's always quite fun. But yeah, at least back then I was kind of worried because he told me like when he joined us in G2, I was like, oh, do you talk to like your past teammates like Hilly or whatever? It's like, no, not really. But I guess
He's
some of
so
it's also
different.
like,
He's so different from all of those guys, though.
yeah, that's also kind of true. Yeah, like on the same time, they're also kind of more closed off or like to themselves. So yeah, but overall, I enjoy talking to him. Yeah.
That's good. That's interesting. And one of the things I wanted to ask you is a bit more of a personal question, which you can choose to answer at whatever capacity, or you can flame me
No.
for bringing you, flame me for bringing you into more of an emotional deep water. But it sounds like the relationship you had with Perks potentially, where he's doing one-on-ones with you. I can imagine it being a thing where he, and just from speaking to Perks, and just from what you're saying there, he has like a very underrated level of like emotional intelligence. I feel like he's able to pick up on like when people aren't doing so well, even beyond like, oh, like like what is visible. He strikes to me as the
Yeah.
kind of person that can be like, you're trying hard to not let other people know you're upset, and he can like sense that. Is that fair to say about Perks?
Yeah, I can say so. Yeah, but I think that's also one of the things where the talks at the start of the year help. Like, because I also told people at the start of the year, or I try to always tell people that me as a person, I don't share my thoughts very often. So
Yeah.
like
No,
for
I
me, it
know.
helps if someone asks me the question, you know. So
Mate,
then
trying to talk
I
to
can
you
talk
about
about it.
anything emotional is like literally trying to like squeeze sweat from a stone, mate. Like it's proper bad. Like, and the thing about you is as well, when I try and speak to you about anything emotional, because in contrast to you, I'm a complete fucking baby. Like, you ask me how my day is, and I'll send you five paragraphs. I'll just be like, yeah, 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 yeah. And I even feel
Yeah.
bad for that sometimes when we speak. But it's like with you, it's a thing where because you're so closed off, I'll try and like I'll try and like speak to you about it. And then I feel like I'm patronizing you because I think you're even older than me as well. And then I'm just like, I'm speaking to him like I'm a therapist. And I'm just like, oh, I'm being patronizing at this point. So yeah, definitely. I think you're very closed off in that way, I think.
Some would say, yeah.
But I wanted to,
Anyway.
anyway, you see, he's going already. He's getting all clammed up now. He's all embarrassed. But I wanted to say about Perks, the interesting thing, and that what I wanted to bring in as context and kind of create a comparison. If you've got someone like Perks on G2 who's able to come to you and be like, Miky, you can tell something's not wrong, it's not all right. Can you talk to me about that? How did that compare to when you went on G2 the second time with the Yike Broken Blade roster? Because presumably for me, one of the things that I noticed from the outside looking in, without even speaking to you about it, was a thing of like, there's not really anyone on that roster that's going to go out of their way to be like, in comparison to a Perks, a voice where like centrally in the middle of the team, you've got Perks who's going to come in and he's going to if someone's got a problem, he's going to go and fucking talk to them about it. He might not even be emotional, but he's going to be strong about it and confront it. Whereas I look at G2 2023, 2024, Broken Blade, although he's kind of being the idea on that team is he's being groomed into that position of leadership. At least to me, it struck me as well. The reason for that is because there isn't really anyone else that can do that. Yike's really soft spoken. Yike's girlfriend like buys his toothpaste. Like he's the most like like he's the introverted guy. Like Caps is like can be that, but was also most of the time away with the fairies. Hans is super introverted, and you're pretty introverted yourself. So talk to me about that comparison. How was that difficult? Because it must have made the whole problem with you not being able to vent even worse.
I mean, yeah. I mean, at that point, I kind of tried to be that person, I guess, because I was also the oldest in the team. So
Mm.
I was the one trying to talk to people one on one, especially. Um, but I think especially last year, BB was the one that tried to do that for me as well, because I did need someone to talk to sometimes. So I really appreciated him for going out of his way and even noticing when I was not feeling good, you know.
That's good.
So yeah, because sometimes people don't, especially with our with our team of players. He was the only one that could kind of see, you know. So I appreciate him for that.
That's good. And do you feel like that's something that he had innately within him, or is like kind of he stepped up to that role? Because the whole
I
thing
think
about
he has it in him. Yeah,
that's good. That's good too.
I
I
think
can
as a person, he is just very caring in general.
he is. He is, and I think people would get the perception because, like, when my interviews with him, it's just us like being absolutely horrible to each other. But he's always struck me as being like the thing with him. If you go and watch my interview I did with him at I think it was Worlds 2024, where it's like we're just roasting each other all the time. One thing I will say about him is, for me, the smartest people and players are the ones who like they can immediately get it's a bit and they start like throwing it back at you. So like two players that have been able to do that like completely seamlessly. BB's really fucking good at it. Like BB, like you get. I started telling jokes at him, and he was like, he went into the acting like so quickly, and he was so good at that.
Yeah.
The other one who's really good at is Odo Amne. Odo is so
Mm.
fucking smart as well. Odo is so fucking smart. You're kind of there as well, but you're not as good. Just to let you know.
I can't get into it. I
I
can't do
feel
role
like you.
playing like that.
The thing is, it's not. Don't make it gay. It's not role play. It's just.
It is role
It's not.
playing.
It's not role play. Also, Mister Fucking Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons. I would have
I
thought
already know.
thought you'd be into a bit of fucking role play, mate.
Not on camera.
I know when you're playing fucking bit of Magic with Dracos, you're like, summon lizard, summon the electricity. I know that's what you're up to, mate.
Of course, but there's no cameras. When I play solo queue, I had the champion quote as well, but it's kind of funny.
No, you
When
don't.
I just with the boys.
You do champion quotes in Discord calls.
Of course.
Nice.
When I play Scanner and I play against someone, I like feel my sting when I ult and shit like this. But I was playing Elise against leader and I was like, wait, what is her quote? The spider, I am you the fly. When I killed him.
The one I always do is I always
Yeah.
try and I freak people out. I do an Ash line. I'll do my Ash line now. All the world on one arrow.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it's not
You're
bad.
breathing too much into it.
You know, for how much testosterone you'd assume I have with my beard, it's quite impressive to be able to go that high. So,
That's true, yeah.
but yeah, getting back to the question we were talking about, you kind of said that Broken Blade stepped up into that role for you. But even so, would it be fair to say that the absence of a figure looks like, not to say that Broken Blade can't feel, but it's a different, he's a different person, and Perks took such a central role, and it feels like with Perks he's like born to inhabit that role. Like that's very much like when you talk about the legacy of Perks, I feel like that's one of the things that people talk about. Is it just like even the way that you spoke about it, it's like, oh, if we're losing, he's going to do extra talks with us. Like it's such like a
Yeah.
Michael Jordan way of approaching it. Sorry, not to do a Jacob Wolf or like a Finn on Fire and like write an ESPN article about Perks being the Michael Jordan of League, but do you know what I mean? In the absence of a figure like him, and for you being someone that obviously, if there is a problem, you don't feel comfortable with the confrontation, as you've mentioned. How did that make your time in 2023 and 2024 potentially difficult? Because obviously it sounds like you had the valve somewhat of Broken Blade, but I also know from speaking to you there were times where it felt like you couldn't really voice what your issue was.
Yeah, I mean, I would say for like the start of 2023, I was fine voicing my opinion and stuff. Like it felt more natural because I was kind of doing it in Excel the year before, so I kind of got grown into that a little bit more. So it was a bit easier. Like me and BB were basically the people that were, going to our teammates and talking to them and making sure everyone's feeling good and stuff like this. Um, but yeah, I guess in 2024 was a bit harder for me, I guess, to voice my thoughts because I didn't really feel like I had many people to talk to. Like maybe some staff members, like Isma, for example, I could talk to. But yeah, I think more towards the end, it kind of just felt like BB was the main person that I could open up to a bit more. So yeah, but I'm not sure if it was like. I mean, I guess I needed it in 2024. I think for 2023, I think it wasn't like that big of a deal. I felt like to not have someone in a role like Perks, but yeah, I'm not sure.
How much were because you talk about these problems and these kind of need to let them out and vent it. Presumably that's like in-game stuff and also out of game stuff. I wonder just from the outside view how much of those problems were exacerbated by obviously what was just a kind of quite, to put it plainly, I mean I was there, quite a cataclysmic 2023 run. Because I remember speaking to you at the beginning of the tournament personally, and it just being a thing where
Yeah.
like I kind of know when you're bullshitting or like it's fake confidence, but I could tell when I was speaking to you and the way that you spoke about it, where you were like, "Oh, we can go all the way." You definitely felt that way, and I,
Yeah.
being on the ground, I got that from all of you. Like I remember
Yeah.
we did that little TikTok at the beginning of the tournament when I think you beat, who was it? The first Swiss game, fourth
Weibo maybe.
Chinese seed, Weibo, I think you beat. And then I remember after that, like just like all of you so keen to talk to me, so gassed, and there's such an energy. And then it all came crashing down in such a weird way.
Yeah.
How much did
Probably
that
after an energy, I guess.
yeah, how much did that exacerbate the problems? And also just talk to me about that tournament because it's such a mystery. Like you really did, like in no uncertain terms, you all felt like you could go all the way. It felt, or at least very far.
Yeah. I mean, for sure we were all very confident from just winning in Europe, and even at MSI when we came there as second seed, we had like some decent games. It felt like I don't think we got like stumped in that tournament. So it felt like after we got our shit together and we won summer like quite convincingly, I felt like that we would do well. So of course we had high hopes. We were also doing well in scrims and all that. But I guess in 2023 we had a very linear strategy of how we won our games, which was basically just like play like hard pushing or like winning bot lane and then try to dive the enemy bot lane and just explode the game in like the 5 minutes. But then on stage, a lot of times we couldn't do that, so the games looked a lot more even, and then we were not as good at, playing the game from that. And like in hindsight, like I think we were quite bad in 2023, so we would never be able to actually make it very far. Like even if we would have made other groups, we would have lost in groups, like in quarters, insta.
In
So
2023.
in 2023, yeah. So like in the moment when I was playing, I felt like we were insane, but like looking back at it, like rewatching the games, I think we were not very good at all. So because we just had like basically a strategy where we just snowball early, and if we don't do that, Zex. So we were kind of just trying to abuse draft and early game planning, I guess, to win games. So if we couldn't do that, then we were kind of just losing. That's why I think we were quite bad, like as a team. But in 2024, I still believe we could have gone the whole way because I think we were good enough to do it. I think we were just like a bit limited in our approaches to the games, I guess. Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, you can answer if you don't want to answer, you don't have to. But 2023, the NLG loss, what the fuck happened there? Because like, I've heard rumors that there was some sickness. I've heard a lot
Okay,
of
there was sickness,
things.
yeah. Actually, I remember that was the first time I made like notes on my phone on the bus ride back. I think I still have it on my phone here. Let me see what I wrote. Okay, so I can give you the notes that I had from the NRG series after
Okay.
the games. So I wrote how can win. I wrote ban champs we don't play ourselves, which was Senna, and we don't want to. We have certain how do I describe this? Certain differences in opinions for certain champions like Vi and Jarvan. Then we need to make a good game plan and play around our win cons, not Ornn, because I guess in the game we buffed to Ornn or something. Then I wanted to pick tank top only with carry jungle and pick tank jungle with bruiser top. And then I said pick Nico Rasmus because he was so fucking good at Nico, like Caps. Like he was probably the best Nico I've ever seen, but we just never want to pick it, and then enemy teams always picked it. Don't be afraid, but a different word. Don't tunnel on first rotate carries and draft whatever is good for the game. Don't care about first timing, because I guess we were scared of first timing champions. And make plans for TP usage. Game 2 first Drake. And if you don't play J4, don't pick Poppy either. Because we had some discussions about like apparently Yike was not good enough at Jarvan, so we didn't want to pick it. But I didn't think he was very good at Poppy either. But we just picked Poppy anyway. So kind of wanted us to pick Jarvan, or do either pick the champ that's good for the game, even if you're not that great at it, or just don't pick the champ that's not good at it. But yeah, I think there was a lot of issues already in NRG series. I don't think sickness had much to do with it because usually when you're sick, you might like not talk as much because you physically can't. Like maybe you think a bit like slower or whatever. But I don't think it was the main issue about why we lost. I think already, like in the first game, I remember we already got Monster drafted in the first three when they had like Vi, Nico, something, and then we picked Syndra into it. Because Syndra was gonna probably win lane into Nico, but playing against like Vi and stuff, or like I think they get Cassandra as well. It sounds kind of hard. Like we could have picked Cassandra into the Vi, for example, or something like this. But yeah, basically a lot of things. I don't think sickness was a big part of it. But yeah, it's an easy excuse to make, I guess, once you lose and people were in fact sick. But yeah. But
So,
overall, I just don't think we were good enough. Yeah.
so you think the main problem in that year, 2023, was lack of sort of binary play style, lack of dimensions?
Yeah, I guess so.
It's sort of
It was
quite
very
it was
dimensional
quite
from each
interesting for
round.
me. I mean, maybe you could give me some insight on this. Yike as a player, I felt like when I watched MSI 2023, also the first event I ever worked at, so it's the first event I like went to. Yike had like a standout performance at that event. I remember he was like
Mm.
playing a lot of carries. I remember there's a thing
Yeah, good
where
puppy moment.
lots of lots of the Chinese. I remember there was a thing where like that was like the first time, you know, the Hoopu thing, the thing on
Yeah,
Twitter where people
the
Chinese
ratings.
fans give ratings. I mean, like obviously now it's completely like metastasized into like a completely like useless thing. I don't know if you saw at
Yeah,
Worlds, someone asked BDD after he lost finals, "You got a 9.9 on Hoopu. What do you think about that?" So like
yeah,
now it's just worthless. Like everything, League fans have ruined it. It was good,
yeah.
but I remember at 2023 it was the first time I saw it. Maybe it existed before, but it was the first time I saw it. And lots of Chinese fans were saying that Yike is like, oh, he's the only Western player who like can compete against some of the Asian players, especially because jungle was like so dominant in Asia right then, especially at that
Yeah,
tournament. You had Ona, Tarzan, all of these guys. Who was playing for BLG? I can't remember. Who was been not Wei. Fuck, I can't remember. My knowledge is so bad. But yeah. But then it felt like by the time we got to the end of Worlds, he'd kind of like morphed in some ways. He wasn't really playing carries, or he wasn't as confident on some of them. And I remember there was a period where like he was playing carries in LEC, and then you were kind of making him play Maokai Sedge a lot of the time, and then he kind of
Ivern.
was Ivan. He was good on Ivan, to be fair. He's a good Ivan player.
He's good on the trees.
Yeah, but then it was a thing where at Worlds as well, it's like he wasn't really ever playing carries as well, and you kind of that's reflected in your note taking there as well. Well, let's pick tank top, carry jungler, or like bruiser top, tank jungler, or whatever. What
Basically, we
was?
just pick like double tank or pick double carry, but I
Yeah,
think we
yeah,
should
yeah,
have a mix.
yeah, exactly. What was going on there? Talk to me about kind of Yike's fit in the team that year. I suppose it's also interesting because he's also one of the people that was replaced alongside you.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the stuff he was ended up playing was not really up to him what he wanted to play. He kind of just played whatever people told him to play. So I don't really, I don't really remember like what we played at the time in 2023, but either the meta was just not like Belvet, Viego type things because he was very good at those two, for example. Like in his first year, that was kind of his main champs. I remember his Lilia was pretty crazy as well. So I don't actually remember what we ended up playing in 2023. I can check it. But I think he was pretty good at most of the champions he played. Even the Jarvan that is supposedly not good, I thought he was actually fine on Jarvan. Like, because I remember in my first impression, not first impression, but my first games with Yike where we were doing tryouts for XL before I actually went to G2, and I was trying out Yike, and I was playing with the Jarvan, and I really liked how he was always there, following up with like flash EQ and man engages. I was like, holy, his Jarvan is good. So that's why I was like, you know, I was on different ends of the his Jarvan is good or not opinion, but I did think his Poppy was pretty bad.
Who thought his Jarvan was bad?
I think most of the coaching staff did think he was pretty bad at it, so they didn't allow him to play it because we had like a thing where Jarvan was kind of OP and everyone was playing it, and then we had like after we were 2-2 or whatever, like we had like a few days break, so we had like 4 scrim days where we could have practiced Jarvan, and then we played one game of it where he like failed like a flash EQ or something like this, or EQ flash, he like failed it, and then we're like, Jarvan. So
That's
that was kind of
really
the thing.
isn't that like that's like really not a good way to approach that, no? Is you make one egregious
I mean,
mistake and you go, we're
but
not going to do it
yeah,
again.
yeah, I guess, but yeah, but I don't think his puppy was pretty bad, so I didn't want to play that, but we did end up playing that instead into the Jarvan, and then we lost.
Yeah, because
But
you
yeah,
went out. The final series in 2023 was against. Was it BLG?
mm, yeah, I think it's always BLG. I don't know. NRG into yeah, I think it was BLG in the end as well.
Yeah, because you ended up playing BLG again in your elimination game in 2024. And in
Yeah,
20 going into that must have been a thing because I think from what I remember, you went up 2-0 and you lost the map BO1. And isn't that what happened?
we went 2024.
Nah, Worlds 2023. Pretty sure you went 2-0 in Swiss and then proceeded to lose the next 3 sets. No?
Oh yeah. We were 2-0, and I think we got NRG after, or no, in the best of three we lost to Genji first 0-2,
Yeah, then you lost to BLG, and
then
then
we
you
played
lost to
NRG.
NRG, and then you lost to BLG. That must have. How does that feel? Because when you're going down that kind of slope, where you're like, "Oh, we're 2-0 so early. We're one of the only 2-0 teams. Oh wow,
Yeah,
we're going through." And it's just like every loss must just
yeah.
feel like, "Oh wow." How did that feel once you got to the 2-2 mark?
I mean, the thing is, even our 2 wins in the 2-0 did not feel very good because they were not very clean, you know. Like it felt like both of our wins were kind of flukes. It was kind of like mega late game banger, could go either way kind of games. So it didn't feel that insane to be 2-0. But and then after losing to Genji, we're like, okay, I mean, they were kind of just better, you know, happens. But then yeah, once we got energy, everyone thought we were gonna win, right? So we were like, okay, nice. Then we lost. That was kind of a rough one. And then there were just a lot of things we needed to kind of band-aid or fix to try to make it out. And yeah, I mean, we were just not very good back then, honestly.
Well, fair enough. It's quite interesting because sort of the general narrative is that you guys were good and you just kind of choked it, but you kind of just saying that yeah, we just sucked.
Nah, no, we kind of sucked, yeah.
2024 though, but you said you think you were the real deal in 2024 then.
Yeah, I think top four we could. I mean, 2024 we could have won, yeah. I still think we were a top 4 team at that tournament. So I think we could have easily won.
What made you so much better? What did you get better at?
I think we were just better at actually playing even game states out and knowing which ways we should contest or how to actually play the map. I think that was mainly the Duffman addition that helped us with that. Because even in whole 2023, even in EU, we were kind of just like stomping people early game, and we were just focusing a lot on playing early games and having good plans. Like I remember in reviews, we would always talk about like, oh yeah, in this level 1, what if they do this? Like we had like 3 different options they could do, and then we had to talk about the responses to each of their things that they could do, you know. So we're just very focused on early games and how we could play those. So we're quite good at that, but it was also kind of just linear. But then I guess 2024 with Duff, I think we were a lot better at just playing out the games when they were even and knowing where to be on the map, how to trade. Because like in 2023 we did not trade anything. I remember the BLG series when I was playing like Bard. We were just so lost on the map. We had no idea what we were doing. Like I was playing Bard and I was just like grouping and stuff, and we just had like so many even number fights. Our TP usage was pretty bad as well, so
That was a
it
horrible
was just like
experience. Horrible experience for me watching that. Because it's like,
yeah,
do
it
you remember? Do
was
you remember? I was in the front row, and so it's like whenever you would come out for that BLG series, we would like lock eyes
I
and
remember actually.
we'd look at each other, and I'd be like,
You're
yeah,
streaming
go on, mate.
it.
And then like fucking, I just had to watch you guys just get. Because it was, I think the
Yeah.
series was 2-1, wasn't it? You did actually win a game, didn't you? Or was that in 2024?
In 2024 we won a game for sure, yeah. I don't remember if we won in
In
2023. Maybe?
23-3.
Oh, we did the Nico bug. Yeah, we did win a game, yeah.
Oh,
When I was playing Lissandra against
bug
BLG.
bug abusing.
Ah, that wasn't a bug.
Yeah,
It was an invention.
of course,
We
of
were the
course.
inventors.
Sorry, what were we talking about just then? Just before I cut you off there. Oh, in the 2024, you're talking about in 2024 the differences. You guys got a lot better at but it sounded like in 2023 it was more about working on improvisation and how to respond to random things that are happening in the game, whereas 2024 was more about just finding stable solutions and stable game states.
Yeah, that was just like mega early game versus just like overall in the game, how to play it.
Do you
That
think
was kind of
champ
the main
pools
difference.
changed? I mean, obviously champ pools always change because of the meta and stuff like that.
Um, no, I think it just kind of depends on the meta. And there was for sure some champs we didn't play. I mean, I was kind of just playing the same things. Like I was looking at my match history of 2023 recently, and I saw like there was a lot of same champions. It was just like a Rail, Nautilus,
Yeah,
or
it's interesting to me. I think
where I
this is
kind
a
of felt like
big topic for me because whenever I would speak to you in 2023, one of the things you'd always talk to me is about, oh, we have all these insane strategies that like we're going to play when it comes. And like the big thing that it was always for me, and I never said this to you because I was just like, oh, it's just gonna be like rubbing salt in the wound. But the thing you would always say to me is, oh, we got all these insane strategies to play when the time comes. Well, I
yeah,
was just like, well done, fuckers. The time never came because you never played any of it. So I mean,
yeah.
now that it's
I
been,
mean, we had something
what did you
pretty
have?
OP, but Caps kind of was forced to use it this year against FlyQuest. So yeah,
Oh, what was it?
it was the Oriana thing. Yeah, so OP. You know, think we can flash with the ball on him. So broken. But we wanted to do that.
I'm so confused what you're talking about. I don't know if I
You know,
just
in FlyQuest versus G2, where
yeah.
Mundo get the ball and then Morgana pressed ult and then Mundo flashed in onto the carries.
Oh right, yeah. What that is that?
Yeah, that was a thing people didn't really do like back in 2023 and 2024. So it was just like you can just do it on any champion. You just put the ball on them and then just flash in there on the carries, and
Well,
they
yeah,
can't really
the
react. You
champ
know.
that this is really broken on is Shaco because you can just queue and have the
Yeah, and
ball
Shaker
on.
as well, for example.
Were you
But
playing Shaco?
yeah, no. I mean, I was playing in solo queue a bit, but not in scrims.
Yeah.
I was not allowed. But it was just like so broken because especially not in fearless. I feel like if you do this once in like a best of 5, and if enemy doesn't respect it and just ban the Oriana or pick it away, you can just keep abusing it and it's just like it feel like it's so OP.
Hmm.
That's why I was also kind of confident back then that we were just gonna cheese some people. But yeah, we didn't really get to pull it out because I didn't want to do it in the group stages. I wanted to wait for best of 5 to do it. But yeah, we didn't really make it there.
Yeah,
So,
listen, for what it's worth, I've messaged Yike quite a few times and tried to get Natty to teach him Mundo and Rengar even before Scumon started playing it. So I could have saved G2 in 2023, but obviously, much like the jester in
yeah,
every Shakespearean play, you don't listen to the guy who tells jokes until it's too late. But maybe next time
true.
you'll allow me to, in my great grace and retribution, save Europe once again.
Yeah. You know,
Uh,
so the story about who cried wolf. Maybe that is more applicable.
Wolf won Worlds like 3 times, mate. So you know what I mean. Hey, you like
Was it
that?
three?
Swap that on
I
you,
think it
mate.
was 2.
Yeah,
It
2.
was kind of 2.
Fucking hell. It would have been cold if I got it right. Fucking
Yeah.
hell. But 2024, okay, so in any case, and this taps onto what I was saying to you about this not using any of these crazy drafts. Even so, the stuff you were showing in Europe, talk to me about this fucking curse that G2 has, where it's like, we play all this shit domestically, and we've got this own play style, and we get to fucking Worlds, and suddenly we're just fucking LCK 5th seed or Chinese fifth seed,
Yeah.
where we just play exactly what everyone else does. And this is interesting for you because the reason I know it's not your fault is because you're part of the original GT roster where creativity was the thing, and we keep the same identity throughout the year. So
Yeah.
what the fuck's going on there? Let's keep the record straight on that.
I mean, I guess in 2023, we were playing some more unorthodox picks. I guess at the time, Kalista was considered an unorthodox pick, which was the only thing like the only team that played Kalista was us, and
Hmm.
we were kind of stomping people with Kalista Draven in scrims. But people started playing Kalista themselves and like banning it against us, so it was a bit harder. And I think we were actually at that point also playing Lucian bot lane when Draven and Kalista got banned, and we tried some Nyla, I believe. But it was a bit hard to make Nyla work, like especially like early 2-3 or like blind, because people just go like Talia or Poppy or whatever, and it would be hard to play. And after we lost to Gen G, I think we kind of swapped into just we need to just pick hyper carries and just like Zyrokan, because we didn't really play much Zyrokan back then, but I think me and Hans were very good at it. But we should just like pick Zyrokan or Kai'Sa or like hyper carries instead of playing like Lucian, Ezreal, Nyla, because that's something we would do back in the day, because these champs would be like strong in lane at early game. Um, but yeah, I guess most of the time why people don't pull out stuff in international tournaments is because probably doesn't work in scrims. So yeah,
Well, I mean, the major insanity of it that everyone will go back to, and you can already see people in the chat talking about, is this Orianna Nocturne thing that you guys just. I remember
no, yeah,
watching that at Worlds 2024 and just being very, very frustrated watching. So I was just like, because it was like the one, I think the one of the games you won in Swiss, it was like we played like a G2 draft, and it was like,
it was
well,
Weibo,
I was
probably.
just like, well, why aren't we doing that every game? Why are we playing Orianna Nocturne?
I mean, I remember. Okay, so the main thing about why we played Oriana Nocturne was just we thought it was OP. Like in scrims, we played Oriana Nocturne against us, it was OP, and we played it against them, it was OP. So it was kind of the meta to either first pick Oriana and the enemy team first picks Nocturne away 1-2, and then Nocturne is going to Oriana. So that's why then you pick Nocturne first pick, and then enemy has to go like Akali or Ari or something with a dash. So then you pick Oriana, and then you have a combo, and then you also win lane, blah blah blah, something like this. Um, and I remember we played it against Weibo, and already that game, even though we won it, it was like a very sloppy win. Like we were just like tunneling so much on doing the combo. Where we would just start to group mid, everyone just walk mid, and we're like, oh, let's look for this Jin when he walks up for this wave. And then it turns out Jin just didn't walk for the wave. He just like pressed W from his tower, and then we're like, we just wasted like 30 seconds of our time trying to go for a guy that doesn't actually have to go for the wave. So we're just very very tunneled, especially in the stage games, because everyone's more nervous and stuff about doing the thing, the Rihanna combo. Um, and then I guess after that we just played it 2 more games, and I think we just didn't realize fast enough that if enemy just picks champions that can't just get one shot by the combo, then the combo doesn't really it's not that OP. Because I think against BLG that draft they had LeBlanc, who you can't really ult, Kai'Sa, which is also pretty hard. He can kind of get out even if he gets ulted. Alistar you don't want to go on. I think they had Skarner or something as well, something tanky. So just like a very hard Orion Nocturne game. And I think after that we did it again though. But yeah, I don't know. It was basically just something that was OP in scrim, so we just picked it. And yeah.
It's like a thing for me where it's like I want to talk about 2019 and that era of G2. What's the difference? Because for me, it sounds like what you're saying is we tried playing what we wanted to, and we got shit on in scrims by something we thought was OP, so we had to shift to what was OP, and then we got tunnel vision because we were playing something new, and then we had to relearn the game. What was the
Yeah.
difference in 2019? Was it because the thing of what you say is just does it just come down to the fact of it's not about backbone, it's about whether you win scrims or not? Is the reason you stuck to your guns in 2019 because you were winning scrims?
Not really. I guess we were just a lot more confident in our picks. We kind of like believed in it more, like because we were kind of just doing random shit, especially with perks in botlane. We were doing. I remember in against Damwon, for example, like against Damwon, we didn't really win a bunch of scrims at all. We were getting stomped. Like I'm sure everyone told the story many times, where we were just like 0-15 or something, like overall. Okay, like first day was like 0-5, the next day was 1-4, then 2-3, and then we won on stage 3-2. That was kind of how it went. I think no 3-1 we won. But basically, we also that series we played like Orianna bot lane with like Alistar, and I remember we also flexed some random shit, or like even the World Finals we played some random shit.
You're
I think it
playing
was
like
mostly just about
posts like playing Yasuo and shit. Like
yeah, like we're just playing a lot of random shit. So even if it doesn't work in scrims as much, I mean, for I guess back in 2019, we didn't concern ourselves too much about if we won the scrim game or lost the scrim game. We were just concerned about if the thing actually was going good or not, or like because a lot of I guess in 23, 24, it was like if you lost in scrims, because then you look at the stats afterwards, because we had like a whole stats thing from all our scrims, and like, oh, this is like low win rate, so we should not play it or
I
something like
hate
this, you know?
stats. I hate stats so much, man.
Yeah,
You know
you kind of have
you
to
know my
look
quote
at.
about stats. It's not my quote, but it's a quote I like about stats. Savage Dan came up with this one. It's a
All right,
great
let me hear
quote.
it.
You use this one. Stats are like bikinis. What they show may be interesting, but what they don't show is even more interesting.
Mm. I believe it works for me at
Cool.
least.
We back? We back? That is like an unreal. That's an unreal thing.
That is an unreal
Did
thing.
no one? Did no one hear the? Did no one hear the punchline there? Where did?
Everyone heard it.
Where did we get to it? Did everyone hear the punchline of the joke, or? In any case, if you didn't
We did.
hear it, stats are like bikinis. What they do show may be interesting, but what they don't show is even more interesting. MikyX, welcome back. You were just talking
Well,
about.
thank you, thank you,
You were
thank
just
you for
talking about
having me.
stats. No worries.
Yeah. So yeah, in 2019, we were a bit more, I guess, aligned in what we actually want to do and if it makes sense, and then we would do it. Like even the Pike mid, it was like a team talk where we were thinking of, okay, so they're playing Nautilus mid, and also we were kind of locked in bans. I mean, in theory, looking back at it, like me and Kevs, every now and again we watch the finals and we like, what the fuck are we doing? So we could just trade the Zaya Kai'Sa bans because they were OP, so we could just trade one for one. But I don't know why we didn't do it. Anyway, in draft, they had Nautilus mid, right? They'd always play. And normally we would just play mages like Orianna Syndra, but we couldn't do it into Nautilus because Nautilus would just like flash auto attack and the jungler would be there and then you would die, like they had Lee Sin Nautilus, for example. So then if you let him, like, so you can't push that lane because you get ganked. So then if you get pushed in, then he just roams and kills your side lane. So we need to come up with a champion that would be able to match these roams and not be able to die to the flash auto attack gank. So we were doing a lot of like 1v1 practice. I remember they were doing like Ornn into Nautilus, they were doing Olaf into Nautilus, and then I guess Pike was one of them as well. There was Camille. Yeah, these were some of the champions we were thinking about playing mid lane against the Nautilus specifically. And I guess Pike made the most sense because he can match the roams very easily. And Pike mid was also a thing back then in solo queue. I still remember Pike was playing solo queue against Caps was playing solo queue on Pike mid against me and Perks when we were playing duo queue, and he was stomping us. So yeah, it was kind of strong back then, and that's kind of the main reason we went for it. But it was kind of a team decision, you know, like everyone was involved in coming up with a solution for this behemoth that is Nautilus mid lane.
The
Turns
story
out it
that.
didn't work
Sorry,
because
go on.
we couldn't actually practice it in scrims, you know. We couldn't actually practice it, so we kind of first timed it. But at least everyone was aware and on board with it. So yeah.
The story that I've heard from speaking to some people is that the 2019 Worlds loss, a lot of it has to do with like overcooking.
Yeah. I
What
mean, yeah, for sure.
could you comment
Everyone,
could
if
you
you just
comment on
like
that?
I mean, for sure, lost our minds like the day before the finals, especially when we had this long draft talk, and everyone just saying like some random shit, then just like trying to overcomplicate everything when we could just kind of keep doing what we were doing the whole tournament or the whole year, you know. Like Caps was mega winning on like Orianna Syndra, so we could just make a plan for that. We can bend the Nautilus if it's an issue, and just play those kind of matchups in mid lane because
Someone in the
Dodgy was
chat
kind
has
of like
just come with a correction. They said in 2019 G2 didn't play off meta; they played all meta except in the finals. Do you think is that
yeah.
fair?
I can see that being fair. Yeah, I mean, I remember we played in the group stages at least against who was it? Griffin. We played Shen Zoe botlane, I believe, and
Yeah,
I
so
remember
take that, mate. That's not the
and
finals, is it?
Jankos was playing Kiana, which was meta at the time, but for Jankos it
For
was
someone like him, that's not meta.
But yeah, I mean, we also were thinking like after the fact that we lost, we were like, wait, we just played like Orianna Syndra most of the games, and like Caps was always smurfing and doing good. So why didn't we just do it in the finals? We just played Tristana first time, Viger first time, and Pike first time. Yeah, we were lost in the sauce. I think if we just played it again, honestly, we would mega win. But whatever.
You think you should have won Worlds
Now we
2019?
know. Yes, I think we were mega good.
Wow, that's quite sad, isn't it? Because fucking can't win now, can we?
In hindsight, this is more depressing, yeah, than
Yeah.
back then. Back then, it was like, it's fine. Next year, next year
Yeah,
we won,
next
right?
year, and then it's been 6 years, and it's just every year is just
Yeah, next year.
yeah, fair enough.
2026 though, guys.
But you won MSI though. You're the only players to ever win an international in the West, apart from season
Yeah,
one, which was played in Freak Spaceman.
basement. Yeah.
But I remember speaking to you about you winning MSI, and it was sort of one of the things you were talking about is you didn't necessarily feel that happy after winning MSI.
Yeah. It was kind of just like anticlimactic because we were, I think, in the group stage we played to each team twice, right? And I think we lost both times to IG, so that felt like kind of the best team at the tournament. And then they just lost to Team Liquid. Like, what?
There's some rumors.
And
There's
then in
some
the
rumors
finals we
of
won against Liquid.
there's some rumors of sickness in that tournament as well.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, when we were screaming IG the day before, I think that they lost and they had to pause a few times because they had some issues, like yeah,
So
with
sorry,
stomach
sorry,
stuff.
not to besmirch your legacy, any of the players on that Team Liquid roster, but you absolutely cheated your way to the final there. You got very lucky. NA would never be good to make it to any international. They'd have to, benefit from someone being sick. Your words, not mine.
I mean, they played well, you know. It's just like IG was not the IG that played against us in groups. Like they were so fucking insane when we played them. Like it was unwinnable.
Do you,
But
do you think it would have
yeah,
been? Do you think it would have been hard to win that MSI if IG had kept up their form?
I think IG would have probably taken that one. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think they were very good, but we were also pretty good,
Thank the
especially like
heavens, bro.
throughout the tournament, because we also in the group stage lost to Buffalo. So we also had some troll games in the group stages, but then we kind of
That was the
ramped
best
up.
org name ever. Saigon Buffalo. They had the most troll
Yeah,
logo as well. It's so
and
amazing.
they were good. Like I don't know, they were so fucking insane.
Does that not make? How does that
Throughout
make
one
you
game.
feel? Because consistently, some of these LCP teams, for example, CFO now, these guys get like from I don't know if it's the case now, but like historically, these guys get paid like a packet of bread and a few crisps in comparison to the absolute bulging wages that are paid in NA and EU, especially NA back then
Yeah,
as well. And these guys are all fucking on absolute fucking like factory wages, but they're always
yeah.
just as good, if not better, in some cases.
I mean, yeah. I think back then they were not that great, but I think nowadays they are quite good compared to the Western teams, or like at least kind of same level. But I think back then it was like they were a bit below. I mean, I feel like they can play on the Korean server now from where they are
Yeah,
based,
yeah, I
so
think so.
they actually get access to a bit better practice. They can also scrim the good teams, whereas here we're kind of in our Western bubble.
With the shit
And
teams, is
have to
that what you're
play
saying? Or
EOS. You have to play EOS solo queue. That's kind of what I'm saying, yeah, but not directly. Um, yeah, that's kind of it. That's why
is it?
they're better.
How much do you buy into that kind of theory? 'Cause one of the things that people say, G2 find it hard to say this, but you can always kind of tell is what they're saying if you read between the lines, that they can't really get anyone to push them in the region. Whereas like in 2019, it
Mm,
felt like in 2018 as well, it always felt like you had Fnatic to push you, and it was just those there were two good teams in Europe, and you guys kind of went back and forth and pushed each other. Did you felt like in
I
2023 and
guess
2024 there were any teams in your region that were really pushing you, or not really?
in 2023 and 24, no. Especially in 24, I felt like we were throughout, like in EU, I feel like we were not that insane. We were like kind of in a slump, but we still won quite easily. In 23, I mean, even the spring that we lost, it didn't feel like we were like actually a worse team. It was like just mega troll what was happening.
Can I just say, is it not interesting that over those 2 years, just to kind of give a bit of like, obviously everyone remembers this. Whenever you guys would play against Fnatic, it would be a thing where like the game would be going well for them, and then just like they would like have some like sort of Vietnam flashback to like when their dad used to beat them, and then they would just shit their pants and like they throw the game completely out of control.
Yeah.
They clearly had some sort of like psychological trauma against you. When you left G2 and you were deciding your next team, did you not think, wow, there's sort of a dark cloud over there that prevents them from winning against us? Did that not factor into your decision making at all?
No, because I assumed I would be the one to change that and make Fnatic win.
Oh, so
But
you're
no.
you're kind of like an I can fix her kind of guy.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
I am that kind of guy.
I've also dated women with borderline personality disorder before, so don't worry. I'm right there with you, mate. That's wonderful.
Nice.
Not
Yeah.
much to say beyond that, is there really?
Hmm.
In any case, I think we kind of got towards the end of the G2 era there. I wanted to talk to you potentially about leaving G2 because it's to be assumed, and with the kind of when I'll be the one to put my foot forward here. When I was at Worlds 2024, I was already hearing that there were going to be potential replacements, and that people had been seeking it out. And obviously, after that Worlds, it came out that G2 had approached for they were going to do some like mega swap for Kalist. It was like Romain was
Yeah.
going, Romain's grandma was going, Hans Sammer,
Yeah.
like they were trading everyone. Um,
Yeah.
how much did you know about that going on? Because I know that you found out pretty much an hour before it went live on cheap esports and all this kind of stuff, and I know that was annoying for you. But during the tournament of Worlds, was that something in the back of your mind? Was it something you actively knew was going to be occurring?
Um. Well, I will start off with the first sentence where I said I left, didn't leave, got kicked. Compared to the 2021 where I did leave, because a lot of people always say like, oh yeah, this guy got kicked from G2 twice, but the first in 2021 I didn't want to renew my contract, so they didn't want to let the contract run out, so they found someone else. But this time I got kicked, and if I knew about it, not necessarily, since I didn't see the specific like rumors anywhere. Uh, I knew for Yike that there was like rumors going around about him getting replaced, but for me it was mostly just from, I guess, reading how people from the staff would talk to me, I guess, because when you have someone in the team that you don't have to deal with next year and you know they're out, you kind of don't want to talk to them or like fix their shit in like reviews. You kind of see it like whatever, he's gonna be gone next year anyway. So I could kind of feel that already like around summer maybe, but especially at Worlds where yeah, they just didn't really want to fix any of at least my issues, I guess. They kind of CB8. So yeah, I could kind of see it, but yeah, I didn't really know for a fact that it was gonna happen. Um, so yeah, I don't think it
What?
would. I don't think it affected my performance though. Like it was kind of whatever.
Yeah, you played pretty well. You played a pretty decent Worlds
Eh,
2024.
I wouldn't say that either, but yeah, I can't put it on that. For example, like I think I had okay games. I mean, I remember I still had some cringe moments, but overall, yeah, it was not a great tournament for me, at least from what I think I'm capable of. But I wouldn't want to, or I don't think I can put it on like the fact that I
It's
knew I
okay,
was
mate.
gonna
No
get
one
replaced or
else,
anything.
no one else played particularly well. So,
Yeah, I guess.
what were those problems that you're talking about here? Because you're talking about they CBA to fix your issues because it's like you're going next year, and obviously that feels like there's issues that are ramping from 2023 onwards. What were your
Yeah.
sort of main issues back and forth with coaching staff? Problems like how were they diagnosing your problems in the team? How do you respond to those? What are the reality of those from your perspective? Talk to me a little bit about those.
I mean, I guess a lot of the discussions that we usually had was with, I guess, which champions I wanted to play or which champions I didn't think were good, because yeah, I like to play a bit more champions than just like the normal Rail Nautilus every game, and it kind of felt like I was kind of just put on these champions, and then there was not really any discussion about it about playing like other things. I mean, I think in the end against BLG I got to play a Terra game, which was pretty good Terra game,
That was a hype. I
but
like
uh,
that.
but it was kind of, I guess, hard to convince people to get there. But then also just like in reviews, there would not really be any points for me about what I could have done better, or like in the games, like if it would just be like where I'm on the map, or just if I'm calling missing for my mid laner and shit like this, or just like any kind of like, or if I'm not talking during the game. Usually throughout the other years, it would always be mentioned if someone is like not contributing to the game or like talking, but at World it was kind of just like skipped or like glossed over, like whatever, you know. No one would like kick you in the ass and be like, yo, what up, you know, just keep like show up, fucking play the game or something. I think yeah, I think only Duff was kind of giving me like individual points about what I'm doing and asking me questions, but that was kind of it, yeah. Because I guess he also didn't know about that I'm Maori. But yeah,
Uh,
I think a lot of things were mostly just like if I was not in a good mood, or like yeah, if I didn't talk during scrims and stuff, I didn't feel like anyone from the staff would care much. They were just kind of just like, yeah, whatever, fuck this guy. Because most of the time, throughout the year or before as well, people would usually come talk to you if you're not talking or you're like visibly in like a bad mood or something. So yeah,
That's
that was
quite
kind of.
that's quite a difficult. Sorry, just give me a second. That's quite difficult. It's quite difficult for me to hear, really, because you're someone that kind of you talked about in the course of this interview, and just from speaking to you, that you kind of, despite not actively looking for it, sometimes you do need quite a lot. And I hope that you don't. Sorry, I'm finding this quite difficult. I'm getting kind of emotional as well. You're someone that I feel like kind of you wouldn't ever like. I hope you don't find it patronizing me saying, but you do need like love. Like you do need to like feel appreciation and stuff like this, and you would never go out your way to ask for it. So it's quite difficult to hear that potentially you weren't really getting that in 2024. Um, I mean, it's an obvious question, but I kind of wanted to give you the opportunity to talk about your feelings. I know it makes you deeply uncomfortable to do so, but I think it would be remiss of me to not at least ask you to, because I think it's so important. Because wow, that's quite a difficult it's quite a difficult thing to hear, that that's what you went through. How was that for you? Because I can imagine it would have been quite isolating.
Yeah, it kind of was. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know how much. I mean, I don't know what I can say about it, but it was not a very fun Worlds experience, I guess. I was kind of just playing the game, and then I would eat some food, and then I would go to sleep, and then just repeat it. I mean, I think we also had a call at some point, no, didn't we? Around that time during Worlds.
Me and you, yeah.
Yeah, because at least you were there to check up on me every now and again, and I think I talked to my agent as well once. But that was about it. I feel like. I mean, I had one talk with BB as well, but yeah, other than that, it was uh yeah, just kind of just playing and seeing how it goes. Like it didn't really feel like we were actually at Worlds trying to win this shit. We were kind of just like, yeah, it kind of felt like people just wanted to get it over with. So I felt like it was a pretty big waste, considering I think we were very good at the time, and we could have probably won it. So yeah,
That's quite an interesting contrast, that you feel like people were just trying to get it over with, in comparison to what you're saying about it being like the peak and you guys could have gone the furthest you could. Where does that disconnect come from? Because it feels like on the one hand you're saying you guys were really fucking good, and on the other hand it was, yeah, like you're saying, get it over with.
I mean, I guess it's mostly just like attitude-wise. I guess how people approach like scrims or reviews. Like a lot of the times, it was kind of like silent in scrims. I think BB was probably the only one who was consistently talking a lot, and that's kind of just what he does. He's just like very, like he's a good leader, I guess, trying to make sure everyone participates in the game. But yeah, I guess reviews and stuff, it was kind of just like lackluster, I guess, when scrims end. I guess, I mean, we did sometimes play some games together, like between players, but other than that, everyone was kind of just go to their rooms and then just go next day. I mean, I think it was also part of the issue was that we were still in Europe, so it didn't actually feel like we were at Worlds. Like our first bootcamp was also in the office, like when we were practicing for Worlds. So that already felt like we're just another regular season game. And then we went to the hotel, I guess, in Berlin. It felt a bit different, and like the first few 2 days were like pretty good. Everyone was like a lot of high energy, but then after that, it was back to being just like a bit monotone, like low energy vibes type thing compared to like the other Worlds in 2023. And there was just like, yeah, a lot of discussions where everything would just get vetoed, and then we couldn't really do anything. Like a lot of the times when things are going kind of bad is when you can't do anything. Like people don't look for solutions; they just look for problems. I was like, oh, we can't do anything because this with this, we can't do this because whatever. Instead of thinking of what we can actually do to make it work. So yeah, I guess that was kind of the thing. But I think in the games we usually played decently well. So yeah.
Where do you think that T2 roster in 2024 maxes out? You thought you were a top four team in the world, so presumably
Yeah,
semi-finals, with an outside chance to make it to finals, depending on who you drew. Who do you think you
I
could
think
have
so.
beat? Who do you think
I
you could
think
have beaten on a good day in that tournament?
I think on a good day, I think we win the whole thing. Like I think even T1 was beatable. I think BLG was quite good as well. But yeah, I think those two were the main. I mean, they made finals, right? And we played both of them in groups. But I think we could have won against them both, like even in groups and throughout the whole tournament on a good day. and if we could like, I guess, if we were able to do whatever we want, or like if you look for more solutions, I guess, for stuff in the games, like for example lane swaps, we weren't lane swapping at all, because coaching staff kind of thought it was not a winning strategy, so we were kind of just not doing it.
And presumably,
Where every
presumably,
other team in the world was.
you thought it was a winning strategy.
Yeah, I mean, we had like a few scrims where we were getting stumped by NA teams and they were just lane swapping on us perma, and then we had like 1 or 2 days where we were doing it like as they were playing in houses at the time, and then we just played 5 man in houses with our team, and then we would try to just do lane swaps and actually learn them because we were kind of new, I guess, to it. I mean, we did lane swap, I think MSI or whatever, but this one was a bit of a newer version because like Team Liquid was doing a lot of different variations, so we wanted to see how it is and learn those. But yeah, that's kind of. Then we tried it, and then I think that was the first time where everyone was like actually very excited to play the game and talk about the game and look for solutions and what we can do better or like how we should play the swaps. So I think that one day I felt like I actually had like a lot of fun playing the game and scrimming, even though it was just like it wasn't scrims, it was just like in houses. But then we tried that the next day in scrims, and then out of the lane swap we didn't really had like a big gold lead, so we just summarized or concluded that it was not a winning strategy. So then we just were not swapping anymore from that point onwards. And yeah, that was kind of it.
And how did that kind of, because we're talking about this kind of isolation you were feeling just because of relationship with the coaching staff during that tournament and summer onwards. How did that affect your relationship with some of your teammates? Because I know that you were having some arguments with some teammates even in some of the games, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there was like, I guess one comment at some point from Caps that was like a little bit more, not sure passive aggressive, it was kind of aggressive low key. But after that he just came and apologized and everything, so
What
I didn't really mind it as much.
if you don't mind, say what actually went down, or
I think it was basically just like we were playing the T1 game, and I think in the game I was like kept asking if we can like go for a backdoor or something, and then Caps was like, "That's not how it fucking works," or something like this. When I was like asking like, "Oh, can we do this? Can we do can we like do it for backdoor? Can we tip it up? Blah blah blah." And then he was like, "Stop talking about it. We can't do it. It's not how it works." And then
and
afterwards
obviously
he came to
you're
apologize.
laughing about it, and obviously you're saying you apologize, but like you're laughing about it now, but from what I can, when I remember you told me about that at the time, I remember it was a thing of like you like there's like less trust there, maybe.
Yeah, like I mean for sure like it hasn't happened to me before. Like whenever I played with Caps, I guess for him to have a comment like this, usually he would be able to either look for solutions or word it better, or like wouldn't even say the kind of comments. But I feel like the stress was also kind of getting to him because like the whole Worlds run was like very low energy and just like a lot of stress and just like it didn't like the vibes were not great. I felt like so that's why it felt a bit weird, and that's why also the stress got to us during this high pressure game. It was like 50 minutes, like we just get ace or something because I think he got caught at that moment at Dragon, if I remember. And then yeah, so yeah, that kind of happened, but yeah, at least I didn't mind as much because he came after the game because he reflected on it and we talked about it. So yeah,
Yeah, but talk to me about kind of because to play devil's advocate again, because I've been speaking primarily as your friend throughout this. It's like you're talking about a degree of coaching staff losing trust in you, potentially teammates losing trust in you. There was like a big thing in 2024. I remember watching you, less in 2023, but in 2024 definitely, where it's like I watched you just like in the fuck out of some lanes, like and shit like this. Just like literally, like I remember you like playing like was it Rail against like Fnatic maybe, just like died like twice in the first like
Nautilus
four,
against Leona, yeah.
yeah, first like
Nautilus
4 minutes of the
against
game,
Leona Ezreal.
and it felt like
Yeah,
that was
that's
consistently
fun.
happening. And I wanted to give you a chance, like if that's happening, that's obviously going to lead to a lack of trust. But is it the case that that's leading to a lack of trust and it's a perpetuating cycle, or is the lack of trust causing that performance? Because like you've always been a little bit of an inter, not quite as much as
Yeah,
Hillesang, but like it definitely felt like it was happening a lot more. So like
I mean,
a
I
critic would
think
say,
it
well, of course
happening.
your teammates
Yeah,
don't trust you. You're a dirty inter. But then like, what's your take on that?
yeah. I mean, I think that one, the level one, was a bit crazy. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it happened consistently after that. I think it happened those 2 games back to back. if he could take consistency of 2 games, then it was consistent. Yeah, but I think after that it didn't really happen much because I had it more in the back of my mind that it can't let it happen again. So I don't think it happened again. Otherwise I would have remembered. But it's like not that early. And also in those lanes, I feel like the first time I died, I felt like it was kind of winnable, but we played it bad. And the second time, I was sure we were gonna win it if Kaisa would like. I think he had fleet at the time, but I thought he had PTA or something, or like a rune that is not
I feel like you're just
fleet basically.
analyzing the lanes. I don't need you to like apologize for it. It's more just like
Okay,
yeah,
basically, yeah, that was mostly for the lane.
yeah.
I think afterwards there was probably some ins happening, but I don't think I was getting caught as often as as I was in my previous years at least. I think we did have some discussions in reviews though, where like I'm stepping up to like get info, and then we were discussing if it's worth the risk because I can get caught. So maybe those moments gave like I guess the lack of trust where you don't know if what your teammate is doing is like actually makes sense or if he's inting and enemy teams are not just if they're not just punishing it because we had a lot of those talks I guess. But yeah, I'm not really sure. I think in terms of gameplay, I think it was not. I think it was not like worse than I had the years before that. I feel like in 2024 I had some decent games. Like I think I was a lot more consistent than the years before that. I guess like 21, 22. I think those were way worse. 2020 probably as well. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure.
And kind of just to give it a thread between, but you talked about the first time you left G2, it being a thing where you were like, oh, don't be a stranger to caps. I know that you and Yike were quite close and you kind of lent on each other. It was quite cute to see you and Yike after getting kicked kind of lent on each other. Because I know
Yeah,
we all kind of I was speaking to Yike and I was speaking to you, and then we were speaking together as well, and it was nice to like be there. Because I really love Yike a lot. Like I love that guy. I don't know, do you know the story of how I met Yike?
no,
I think I've maybe
probably from
told
an
you.
interview, MSI.
No. Before MSI, Yike is like if you know when
Oh,
if I go back and look at the people I follow on Twitter, like you can like scroll back. Obviously, like loads of people have
yeah,
got their accounts banned or like
yeah,
deactivated.
yeah.
He's one of the first people I follow because I met him when he was a pro player in like the Norwegian regional
Was it
leagues.
Oplon?
Huh?
Was it
No,
Team Oplon?
no, that was in France still. He was
Oh,
still by this time playing in like regional Norwegian leagues, so like not even NLC, like
okay.
lower than NLC. And I met him in an ARAM, and he was challenger at the time. And like he's like, I was like being like, oh, the challenger guy in my ARAM, that's so cool. And he like invited me
Yeah,
to his Discord with like all of his IRLs, and then we made friends like that. We didn't like stay super
really
close, or like we'd, like occasionally message each other or whatever. And that's how I met him. He was just such a sweetheart. And then like obviously,
interesting.
weirdly, when I got the job to do LFL English as a caster with Gulborg, he was
Mm-hmm.
then playing by that time in LDLC, and his dad
Mm.
messaged me on Twitter to be like, "Hi, I really like," because obviously he doesn't want to watch the French broadcast. He's watching it in English,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Oh, I'm like he called him his junior, which is so cute. He didn't even say my son. He's like my junior plays in LDLC, and I really enjoy you watching." And I think I'd spoken on cast about how I knew him. And he was like, "Oh, like." What do you think? Do you think he can make it to LEC? And I was like, yeah, I think he can. And then he did. And then we'd like met, and then we've all met up back and forth. It's one thing that Yike will tell you. Like me and his parents get on like really well. Oh, Yike's in chat as
Yeah.
well. He's just dropped a heart. I always joke with Yike that I need to get invited to Christmas dinner at this point because like, I met him, his
True, yeah.
mum, and his dad all at the same time at Worlds 23, and it was really really sweet. Sorry, I digress. That was just a little offshoot about Yike. But it was nice to see you and him kind of lent on each other, and you became closer after kind of the kicking. But kicking sounds so horrible. I didn't know what other word to use. But
Yeah.
how did it affect your relationship with someone like Caps, like Rasmus or Hans or BB? I can imagine in particular it being difficult with Caps because you had that whole thing of, don't forget about me. But now it's like you had the passive aggressive moment with him. Obviously,
Yeah.
you don't know the full story. You're probably feeling at the time, did Caps have a role in me getting gone? Was he frustrated with me? How was that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it sounds like you're in a good place now, but was it difficult at that time?
Mm, I guess at the time I was a bit confused, I guess, about what he thinks about me. But yeah, I think that kind of went away pretty fast because he I guess, started messaging me a bit more. He made some effort to, not just ghost me forever. Uh, but I guess I talk a bit less to Hans and Bibi. I mean, I guess Bibi still talk to quite a bit, but I guess Hans is kind of just in his own world sometimes. He did message me, I guess, this year at some point, just for fun, and then we did meet up one time with the whole crew, with Yike as well, at Bibi's place. So that was pretty fun. But yeah, I think I'm still pretty good terms with everyone. Like, I guess I talk to Yike a bit more than the others, but I guess me and Yike just had a lot more free time this year than the others. So yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I suppose we can circle back to this in some capacity, but that kind of brings me quite succinctly to what I wanted to talk about. I remember I did an interview with Bwippo, Hold Your Horses, guys. It was a while ago. Did an interview with Bwippo back at it was 2023, because it was when I was in Korea. I did a long form interview. It's one of the first long forms I did. And he talked about, I'm not sure if he talked about it during it, but I know that I've had conversations with him that he really thinks the whole G2 structure thing is he thinks it's a load of horseshit, because he thinks the element of fun is super important in maintaining like grind and all of this kind of stuff. And once you remove that element of fun, you're like really like you remove a lot of ability to compete and stuff like that. It sounds like you have your own personal gripes with G2, because G2 is like pushing forward and they're doing something very different. But it sounds like maybe you don't think it's you think some of it's good, but it's not all effective. What's your general take on that? Because I've spoken to Isba and all of these kind of different guys, and yeah,
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see what, as a player, having experienced it, what you think about all of it.
I mean, for me, I'm the kind of person that, as long as it works, I don't care. Like, I don't really mind whatever we do as long as it works. Like, if there's good results in the end, I'll do anything, I guess. Except cheating. I remember we had a question once, like, what would you do to win? I was like, I would do anything except cheating. I want to win fair and square. So basically, I think the fun aspect of the team is for sure a very important thing, but I think there still needs to be structure in place to do things. And yeah, I guess there was this whole rumor as well that I got kicked from G2 because I wasn't a fan of the systems or whatever. I wasn't motivated, blah blah. But I think that's also a big cap, because I was down to do anything we were doing. Like, I was doing gym, I was doing breathing, like everything we had to do.
I'm glad to
The
hear
only
you were
thing I didn't
breathing.
like,
It's quite important.
yeah, I would do like 15 minutes breathing exercises, like deep breath stuff every
Yeah, they
day.
do the thing where they make you put your head in the water and you have to like see how you deal with that as well, right?
I didn't try that one, but I didn't get the
Okay.
chance to try. Or like, I didn't go and ask to do it. I was didn't ask if I want to do it. So I was like, I guess people were just doing it. Like, I know Hans was doing it back in
Yeah.
Rogue already. But yeah, for me at least, I don't think these kind of things necessarily make me play any different. So I didn't do many of these things. But as long as it helped my teammates, I didn't mind doing them. So for example, the breathing exercises, I didn't mind sitting 15 minutes there and doing it if it helped other teammates. I don't think it helped me in particular, but if it was good for me, for others, I was doing it. But for me, the biggest thing was that I guess in our schedule, there was a lot of things where we were just doing it just because it was there. Like, a lot of meetings were just there just to have a meeting, not because we actually had something important to talk about. So a lot of times it was just time wasted instead of actually playing the game or whatever. And then also 15 minutes every day to do the breathing exercises, where again you could do a solo queue game probably in there with all the, or a few solo games if you count all the minutes spent doing the breathing. But yeah, in the end, I didn't mind all of that as long as I didn't get complaints about how much more I should be doing, where I already felt like I was doing a lot of things, or like, I guess, all the players. We were doing like 2v2 practices with Hans, has a one-on-one talks with teammates. Like, for example, that I mentioned at the start, like me and Bibi were doing a lot of one-on-one talks with our teammates. And then while doing all of that, we also had to keep up with solo queue numbers compared to the other teams, like from other players from other teams, where they don't do all of this extra stuff. And then we were getting, I guess, flamed for not having the same amount of games while we are also doing the other things like 2v2s and shit. So that was the annoying part for me about systems, or like, I guess, the structure. But I don't mind things if they can get optimized. I feel like throughout the year 1 and year 2, we were also able to discuss, like, the start of the year, what we liked from the first year and what we could change for the next year. And then we were doing that and it made sense. And I also learned that from this year, they also changed a lot of the things we were doing last year for the better, I guess. So it's not as packed like the schedule, which nowadays it seems like they're schedule is a lot more normal, I guess, a lot more realistic about what the players can actually do with their time. But yeah, I felt like last year was basically each day I had maybe like 1 hour where I could do something not league related, because there was a few like a few weeks of the year where we were just like perma doing like either, I mean, basically just from until you wake up until you from you wake up until you go to sleep, it was just only league, and it felt like very monotone, and everyone just felt like a robot, and it was like kind of depressing, like very low energy in scrims as well. And then we actually started doing stuff like as a team outside, like after scrims,
You
and
guys
it
play like
felt a
spike
lot
ball and
better.
shit like this, don't you?
I mean, spike ball was mostly like for in the morning exercises, but as a team after scrims we would sometimes do like anime nights, or like we would play a game or something, and it felt a lot better. Like I remember before Worlds, where our mood was not the greatest, BB suggested we played like the horror games on Steam, and that was like a lot of fun. Or we played like Among Us in the same room. That was extremely fun. But yeah, I feel like it's it was kind of weird to like single me out to like I didn't want to do all these system shits, or like I didn't want to do it anymore. Whereas I never said that, and I never acted against it. I was kind of just doing whatever I got told to do. And then if I would go continue now, I would try to talk about if we could be more efficient with our time, because I don't think we
Do you
were.
know also is this kind of a thing where you're not really saying it, but you must feel like, well, you kicked me and then you changed it anyway.
Yeah. That's also pretty true, yeah, but whatever. It felt like a pretty shitty excuse, basically, because it would make, for me at least, it would make a lot more sense if they would say like, oh yeah, we thought he played pretty bad and we thought we could get someone better with more potential. But that was not the reason that was said publicly. So for me, that was just very weird, because you had a very easy excuse right there. You know, like I didn't have the best world, I didn't have the best summer split, or like the other finals where I died level 1 twice back to back. But to go with the did want to be part of the systems and like motivation issues, I thought that was pretty troll, because
Well,
that
do you
kind of
even
thing
because
carries on to the rest
you
of the
you
career,
you
I guess.
you're quite humble, but I know that a lot of it is not for. I think you're humble to your core because you're a sweet guy, but you're also quite arrogant. You also do believe that you're a winner. You do believe you're the best. So I know that, and elements of the humility are trying to get yourself out of trouble. But when it comes to potentially an excuse being made of they wanted an upgrade, I don't believe that you think Lebrov is in any way an upgrade over you.
I mean, yeah, of course I don't, but from their perspective, it would make sense to have that as an argument, you know? Like, they can think I'm the worst player in the world, and then they can say that I'm not that good, and they can
Sure, but
replace
it's
me.
like a thing where for
Makes
you,
sense,
I
you
don't
know?
even believe it doesn't compute. I don't think you believe that they
Yeah,
could.
for me, it doesn't make sense, you know?
No, but I'm saying
Yeah.
that I don't think that you believe that they could think that either because it's just not even a
No, I could,
question.
yeah.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
but yeah,
So you think there are
that's
people on the G2 coaching staff that genuinely think Lebrov is a better player than you?
yeah, of course. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't do it. But yeah, I don't. It doesn't matter what I think.
Is there anything that you think Lebrov? Like, I can't ask it like that. That's really toxic. How would you how would you compare yourself to Lebrov? Is it like a thing where you think that you could see, logic-wise, some things that potentially he brings to it that you don't, or
Mm, I guess more stable games. I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe no. Actually, yeah, I guess more stable games. I do have a tendency to like sometimes go for play that is a bit int, but I feel like that's just like kind of a support thing. So I don't know, but I guess a lot of their games this year, I guess in EU, looked a bit more reserved. I guess they're kind of just like farming and then just getting a lead steadily. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't really know how to if there would be something that I would say that he has like a higher high than me.
from
Like a lot of
speaking
people
to,
say Lane phase, but I feel like that's cap as well.
you think you're a lot better than the mid laning phase?
Yeah. Or just like a lot of people assume that mechanics. I actually, whenever people say like, "Oh, yeah, he's mechanically better," I don't know if people what their definition of mechanics is, like how fast you click something or whatever. But yeah, I feel like those kind of comments are always a bit troll. Like when people say like, "Oh, this guy's better mechanically," when yeah, depends on the definition, I guess, of what you think mechanics are. But in general, I think laning is more about knowledge
Can I
about
just
how
say
you should
you're
play against.
doing such a good job right now, like being like diplomatic and stuff like that. Like you're not buying at all. I'm really quite impressed. I didn't think you could do this because
Yeah,
I can see the steam coming out of your ears, but you're doing a really good job. It's quite
thank you,
impressive.
thank you.
It's no
I
worries.
appreciate it.
It's no worries. Cool. Let me try and trigger you one more time, and then we'll move on. What was I going to say?
Triggerable.
One of the things I got from speaking to people that are smarter than me is that one of the problems with G2, especially in their quarterfinals and some of the Swiss games, series against FlyQuest, for example, they're quite lost on the map at times, and a lot of it has to do with jungle support.
Yeah.
Do you think that would be a problem if you were still on the team?
Mm, probably not, but maybe. I don't know. Depends on the
That's
jungler
too
as well,
good.
I
That's
guess.
too good. That's too good. Wow, wow, wow. You're way too good. Cool. I think that pretty much brings me to everything I want to talk about with G2. Um, yeah, I mean, what are your sort of general feelings towards G2 as an organization? Because they're giving you some of the best memories in your life, but I know from what can be inferred publicly when you said immediately, it was quite an uncharacteristic comment from you when you were like, "I just want to beat G2," and you were saying things like, "I don't want G2 to be bad because you know, I don't want G2 to be bad because I want to be the one to beat them." I remember you saying stuff like that. So it seems like
Yeah,
there's an element of revenge, healthy
yeah.
revenge, but I know obviously innately from speaking to you, it's personal as well to some capacity. So what are your general feelings towards your time on G2?
I mean, like most people there, I guess. I like the org as well. They kind of were nice to me as well. Like at least after the Carlos era, maybe. Maybe back then the whole bio thing was not very nice, but after that I felt like they were pretty nice, like org wise. And I still like all the players, so I like
Do you
when
have
they
any Do you
succeed.
have any funny Carlos stories, like just in terms of interactions?
Mm, interactions, not really. I can't remember that many or like
What was he
at
like?
all.
Because like from the time when you look at him now, you kind of imagine him just kind of like bursting into the office and like just
Yeah,
doing, I don't know, like doing a few cartwheels and like I don't know, just being like, "Do you guys want to?"
but he was quite energetic, yeah. But I mean, he was good at knowing when to, shut up and let people do their job, I guess. I mean, he also got told off a bit sometimes by our manager from 2019 when he was doing it. But he learned that, when he's there, he should just pretend that he's not actually there and just, if he can help us in some sort of capacity, like, I don't know, bringing coffee to some players, then he can do that. But otherwise, just be there and chill. And yeah, I think most of the times he didn't like interfere with any of our practice or work or discussions. So yeah, he was pretty chill when he was around at that point, I think. But yeah, whenever we didn't have like practice or we were just hanging out, he was very loud and energetic, I guess. That's how I would describe him.
So and carry on with your feelings towards G2.
Um, yeah, I mean, overall, I liked playing it. I really enjoyed playing against previous teams in general. Like, I enjoy playing against like Excel, for example, or Splice back in the day, or Misfits, or G2 and now Fnatic, because yeah, it's always just fun to beat the team that you played in. It's like, haha, you can't win it without me or something. Didn't really work so far in the past, especially with G2, because they do somehow end up winning in the end. But yeah, overall, I kind of like the org and the people. So yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, you were quite emotional after the elimination in 2024, though.
Yeah, some could say yeah.
You don't want to go into that, though, I presume.
No.
Okay, fair enough. I respect that. Let's go on to Fnatic now because you leave G2 and you go to Fnatic for reasons why. I mean, like for me, it doesn't make sense because it's like that's the org that you've been beating all year and seemingly can't beat you, not because of the players, but because of there's some sort of mental block there. So there's
Yeah.
clearly something that exists beyond the players. And you've said, like we kind of joked about it earlier, is that I can fix her kind of mentality. But did that not that really didn't play into your decision making? What you'd heard about Fnatic,
No, not
stuff
really.
like this.
I mean, from the options I had, I think it was probably the best chance of winning at the time, I guess. Maybe in hindsight, I could have made a different choice, but I'm not sure if it would help me
What was on the
winning the whole thing.
cards? What was on the cards?
Giants at that point was one of the teams, and Fnatic, I guess.
Was KC
So
because KC was like everyone was like calling for that, but that never was an
no,
option.
not last year, no. So yeah, those two were my main options, I guess, for the teams that I was mostly interested in. And with Fnatic, I thought worst case we're probably gonna be top 3. I guess we were like around 3-4, so not that far off. So that's why I thought it would be the safer option, because maybe I could have gambled with like a few more rookies. Like Lot, for example, I had no real idea how he's gonna be, but he seemed decent from like stats and shit that I was looking up. But yeah, I kind of thought Fnatic would be a safer option, and it made sense at the time. But yeah.
And you get there, and we've talked about it at the beginning of the interview, but we're circling back now, and it's fair to say a lot of issues on Fnatic this year. Talk to me about
Some
getting there and what they were, because famously people talk about Fnatic. Actually, I actually agree with what Grabs was saying in terms of like, the famous death taxes and Fnatic's world drama. It doesn't really exist in the same capacity before, but it's definitely a thing where every single time, you can tell there are issues at Fnatic because of that one guy who makes that 30 tweet thread every like 6 months on Twitter. But there's always something from it being like, oh, we've hired like a massage therapist as like our sports psychologist, or like,
Yeah.
just some stuff like experiencing it firsthand. What do you think are the main problems in Fnatic? What got in your way this year?
Mm, I mean, I guess a lot of things were kind of delayed. Mostly I guess the sports psychologist was kind of delayed. We only got Richard in summer. Um, I guess, yeah, that was kind of the main thing from like org's point of view. I guess the whole off-season discussions were also pretty troll. It didn't really feel like everyone was involved in these discussions. Um, so yeah, I feel like I had to dig deep to get some info from my team to what was actually happening or what actually the plan was to so who I'm actually playing with for next split,
Oh, so
And
you were the GM on Fnatic as well.
well, when I joined Fnatic, they kind of said like, oh yeah, we will wanna if there's like any issues, like we're down to make changes, like because they made the changes with like Reckless Noah stuff in the middle of the year, so like it's no problem if we need to make changes, we can like sit down together and talk about options and stuff, which didn't really happen. It felt like I kind of gave them my idea, and then they kind of just like, didn't really talk to the people that I mentioned.
Who did
I
you
was
want? If you want to
some
say.
people. I could say I did want Wunder leader. I think
Well,
they didn't really
fucking thank God
entertain.
they didn't listen to you.
Yeah, I mean,
Thank
I
fucking
guess.
God. That's the smartest thing Fnatic's ever done.
Well, I guess
Sorry,
you're gonna
carry
have
on.
to wait
Sorry,
for
carry on.
next year to
Sorry,
see that.
carry on. Carry
But
on.
I will save this clip on YouTube and link it to you
Okay.
after this year, okay?
Okay.
Or next
Okay.
year, I
Sorry,
guess.
my bad. My bad.
But my problem was not that they didn't go with what I wanted. My problem was that they didn't even entertain the possibility, like it was not even a discussion. Even though in my head it made the most sense to win
Okay.
because it was like a short-term thing. It's only for summer, and they're just good players that are just easy to slot in. It felt like, and yeah, it wasn't really. And also, I was willing to entertain like other options as well from like ERL players. I watched maybe 3 or 4 different ERL mids. I thought they were all
I tried to
really
get a mid into Fnatic.
well.
I was telling you about a mid lane. I tried to get him in. I was sending you his VODs. Do you not remember?
Oh my god, yeah. So basically,
We don't want
all
to
the
mention. We don't
ERL
want to mention
options.
him.
I don't want to mention him. Anyway, all the ERL options I thought were pretty bad. Like I thought there's just no way. Like these players are not good enough. So if there was players good enough in ERLs, I didn't have to go for leader. But I think we had to change something there in the mid lane. And then for top lane, it was kind of a similar thing where a lot of ERL tops were not very impressive. It felt like, and I have experience playing with Wunder, so for me it made kind of sense. We wanted someone who
I know it's only
talks
an
more.
LC, but he low-key still has it. Like he came and played in series for us, and he's just a complete boss. Like in comparison to Perks and Yankos, much love Luca, much love Marcin. He would just, I mean, were just not very good. No offense to them, Wunder came in and he was just complete. He was the boss baby, mate. Like he's just absolutely bossing it. He did what should happen when a former international winner plays against factory workers and like kids who were at
Hmm.
school. He came in and he just swatted them away like flies. So I think he's still got it. That's what I'll say about
Well,
him.
interesting. It's a
Leader,
different stance
however,
from the 5 minutes ago. Oh, okay.
fucking hell, Jesus Christ, he's just
I mean,
down.
there was
Nah,
one other mid lane option that was like kind of interesting, but somehow we were not able to speak to that person, I
Seren or
guess. No. Um, but yeah, I was down to entertain that option, but it was not really a thing, I guess. And yeah, that's kind of how it went. And
how did we
yeah,
arrive to Poby?
um, I'm not sure.
Because
I guess
I remember that, I don't know if you want to talk about it, but I remember like there'd been quite like a funny story in the lead. We're on
that
again.
was kind of the main thing. Hello, hello. But yeah, not so much like a funny story, but like I guess yeah, the first interview they had with Poby, I guess, was mostly with like a translator, so there's not really much English skills at the start. But I was kind of impressed how fast he picked it up. At least, like I didn't have very high
I remember
expectations,
being
but
a thing where like I remember hearing that it was like you. I don't know if I want to say it. Like I remember. Never mind. Let's move on. Let's move on. Let's move on.
all right.
Okay. We'll just wait and see. Make sure if people are back. People are back. Yeah. We're all back.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, we're back. Sell leader to me because I make it sound like I don't like him. I do like the guy. I think he can be a bit
Mm.
of a dick, but like I think he knows in me saying
He
that
is. Yeah.
that I appreciate him. Like, and we
Mm.
also like I'm also a dick, and I'm sure he thought I was a bit of a dick when we worked together. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
don't mind him as a person. Few things I do mind a bit, but whatever. There's no personal problem between us. You were laughing, so there clearly isn't. Do you know what I mean? I didn't think he was that good in NLC. I also didn't think he really cared, and also we did make him play with Hums. So do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, we did
Yeah.
make him play with Hums. And sorry, Hums, if you're out there, Hums wasn't very good. Do you know what I mean? No offense.
Yeah. So you want me to sell you or what?
I want you to sell me on him because your whole thing is that apparently you think he runs counter to caps.
I mean,
He's like a
I think
neutralizer.
I'm not like a neutralizer, but I think it's the only mid so far from Europe that I think can be better than Caps. Like I think he has the potential to be better than him, especially on his kind of champions. Whereas for other mid laners that I've been watching for the past few years, no one has really been that, I feel like. And I don't think he got a proper chance of showing that because every team he joined, it was kind of the middle of the year when the teams are imploding, and he was the band-aid, which I think most of the time kind of worked, but
So I'm just gonna fact
then in
check
the end,
that.
it didn't
Keep
make it very
talking.
far. Yeah, you can fact check that. And then I don't really consider the Ruddy sack venture a real like thing, you know? Like I
No,
feel like
he
that's just
definitely,
like for fun.
he definitely didn't treat it like it was. Um,
So yeah, I don't know why people like reading into that this much, but yeah,
well,
then
because it's like a thing where
they
it
can also
wasn't
flame
serious.
Yankos for it, for example.
No, they should flame Yankos, and Yankos, I knew it was over for him. You know, funny. Actually, should I leak this?
Probably not. If you want to think about it, probably not.
It is funny though.
Maybe some later then point then.
Let's just say that between split 1 and 2 of Yankos being in the team, it doesn't matter because he didn't end up being back for split 2. Or during split 1, there was interest from an LEC team on Yankos, and obviously he wasn't technically contracted, but they reached out to me to like find out what the deal was. And I remember thinking at the time, mate, the way he's playing at the moment, you can fucking have him. Like, I remember thinking, like, you fucking have him if you want, mate.
That's pretty funny, yeah.
Sorry, what was I gonna say? Yeah, I checked the leader stuff. He joined in summer 2019 LEC. I think Forbidden was already playing there as well.
This fits, yeah.
And then 2021 he came into Vitality. He didn't play in spring, so I think he was in Mouse in spring. So I mean that's technically
Yeah.
fair. He's one game away from beating Fnatic in that split as well. And then he was in LCS, but he wasn't really. And then
And
I
then
guess
Astralis.
he wasn't there in winter in Astralis, was
No, they had Dajor.
he? Yeah. All right, fair enough. Okay. A little bit of a fact check. Cool. Talk to me a little bit
And
more
like,
about him though. Sell him more, because people are slandering you
I
for
mean,
this.
of course, yeah. I mean, I can't say anything if they'll actually win next year, but or allegedly, if we're on the same team in theory. But
Yeah.
from the times we actually played against Leader in our teams, or like in my teams, I guess that I've been on, like in G2, I feel like he always played kind of well. Like I remember there was one game where he was playing Rise. I think Cap was playing Gwen mid or something, where he was playing well. There was one Aurelia game. Cap was playing Malphite. He was kind of spamming that one. Actually, I remember that one Yon game as well, where he TP'd on tier 2 bot tower from mid lane where he was trying to defend because he misclicked. That was pretty funny as well. But I think most of the time he was playing well. And yeah, I just don't think he had a really fair shot at LEC yet. And at least from watching him in solo queue, usually he plays a lot better than most mids I
See,
see
I
in solo queue.
watched you play Kasane support the other day against Leader.
Yeah.
He's playing Aurelia, and like you just
Yeah.
sat in a bush and you were like, oh, he's gonna go in here. He's gonna kill him.
Yeah.
He's gonna kill himself here. And
Yeah.
then he actually did it, which
Yeah.
is like that's kind of it's quite a Leader thing. If you're that aware that he's sort of that prime to inting, is it not like at what point are you an enabler?
Mm, I'm not really an enabler,
Because
and
I live with a drug addict, and I know, like, for example, if I was to leave drugs out, that's my fault. Do you know what I mean? At what point are
yeah.
you enabling him?
Um, I don't really think I'm like an enabler. I kind of want to cut that shit out. Like, I think it's bad habits, even doing it in solo queue. Like, I get sometimes that you get like emotional and you do some stuff just for fun because I
Okay,
do it
but
as well
saying that, how
myself
are you going to
sometimes.
whip him to shape? Because I mean, I had no power over him, and obviously I wasn't paying him. Do you know what I mean? But like, he's like,
I'll flame him.
he needs to be whipped into shape. But you're friends. Does he have that like
Yeah,
seniority respect for you? Can you tell him? In all seriousness, can you tell him cut
probably.
the
Yeah,
shit out? Yeah.
he has
Probably.
to.
You staked it on probably. You've staked this on probably.
Yeah, like
Right.
you never know for sure, but
Okay.
I feel like the probability is quite high.
Sure. And then with Wunder as well, you feel like you can tell him to stop playing
Yeah,
WoW and play League?
I think so.
Okay.
I think it shouldn't be a real problem. They both know that they're kind of at the mercy of this next year, I guess, if they want to actually make it somewhere.
Just to put it out there, leaders just typed in the chat Kappa. So does that bode well for potentially
We're
relationship?
fucked. I mean, it's fine. I'll replace them like in the middle of the year. I'll do the opposite. I'll
Yeah,
get someone else in the middle of the year to save us from leader.
Oh, for fuck's sake, man. Oh god. So yeah, that's your defensive leader. Is your defensive leader didn't
Yeah,
really get a fair shot, and you also think that he's like one of the only players that can, like, in theory, beat Caps.
yeah. I mean, I really wouldn't mind if there was like some young up and coming rookie that was like smurfing, but legit, there's just no one good in you. I have to be, yeah. I have to keep it a buck 50 with you. Gotta keep it 100.
So you're just saying to leader basically, good fucking job. There's no one else, mate, because they would have been right in the door before you.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's nice.
So you better step it up.
It's nice that you can be honest with him like that at least. Back to Fnatic. So you wanted Wunder and Fnatic in that roster during that off season. It didn't happen. Talk to me about some of the other problems you were facing throughout the year, because people are always talking about this. Also, you can give them a fair rep by potentially illuminating things. Do they get a bad rep? Like, is Fnatic as chaotic as people think it is?
Mm, I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be. I think maybe some decisions are questionable in like off seasons and stuff, but I feel like that's a lot of teams. Um, so yeah, I don't really think there's anything seriously wrong. I feel like every organization has some things they're doing wrong. I don't think Fnatic in particular is doing something crazy, but yeah,
It's fair enough. Apart from their CEO going out and partying with DonJake,
I mean that's crazy. I would never do that.
you wouldn't go and party with me.
No,
We have partied together, so that's a complete lie.
but I wouldn't. I
Well,
wouldn't in like in theory. I was forced probably.
that's really horrible that you said that,
Why?
because it's not true at all. It's
I feel like it's like fun
you-
to spread misinformation nowadays.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you were. I remember your camera's gone out of focus, mate. You got to refocus it.
Oh, really?
Oh, there you go. No, it's all good now. There's a bit of misinformation that you were talking about with that you were annoyed about with leader and
Oh
caps.
yeah. There was something I saw on my For You page on Twitter from Rich's show that he said that he heard that at some point during G2 I wanted to get leader instead of caps in my team. That was a complete spreading of misinformation. I don't know how or where he heard that, but the only reason I wanted to have leader was to get one-on-one practice for like your own matchups and shit like this with caps. Because for example, for BB we had Alfari to do like one-on-ones and just like I guess positional coach kind of thing. And for Yike we had Memento and Kire at some point. So we were looking for like more people to I guess do this. And leader at that point was, as usually is, jobless. So he was asking if he can help in some capacity. So I was like, I asked, you know, do you want to get him? And they were like, no, not really. So I was like, all right, fair enough. And that was kind of the whole discussion, I guess. About leader in G2. But yeah, I don't know
You know,
how.
leader's got a little brother that plays league as well.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah,
He's that kid's just as fucking toxic as him, by the way. So it clearly fucking runs in the family. Don't know what's going on.
probably. Yeah.
Don't know what's going on at home there. But fucking hell, I was in a Discord call once, and that no, actually I wasn't there, but I heard the story. Apparently, a couple of my mates like were in a solo queue game, and like this guy's playing Yone, by the way, just fucking flaming the fuck out of them the entire game. They invite him to Discord. It's only fucking leader's brother. He's just fucking absolutely just fucking flaming the fuck out of them the entire time. At what point do you
He's
look
very
at that?
passionate over there.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
fucking hell, I don't know what's going on there. He also, like, you know, when he was on the team and he had that whole thing where it's like, oh, like my entire electricity's gone down or whatever. It's like, do you live in a fucking log cabin or something, mate? I've never heard like this never happened to anyone. Just fucking go reset the grid, mate. And he's like, no, I live in a fishing lodge on the side of a mountain in the middle of Norway.
What?
Like, he doesn't actually. I'm just flaming him. But yeah, sorry,
That's better than Spain. In
just a
Spain, the whole thing went out.
little anecdote. I mean, you wait like a couple of years, maybe you could get the new leader if you like him so much.
True. Yeah.
They've got a whole production line going on over there.
I mean, if he's good enough, why not?
Whole production line of toxic melee only mid laners apparently.
True. Yeah. I like his brother Namor as well. It's Raiden. It's pretty cool.
It is cooler. What does leader mean? Have you ever spoken to him about
Just
that? He's in
leader.
the chat. Leader, what does leader mean? Why are you called that?
I think he stole it from his dad or something. His dad was called that somewhere.
Oh, was his dad also a toxic melee mid only player as well?
Probably, yeah.
Oh god.
Leader in Russian.
What is it?
Just
Leader in
leader in
Russian.
Russian.
Oh great. That makes those jokes even better now. So we've talked about G2, we talked about Fnatic. Grabs was talking about one of the issues in Fnatic being that Humanoid and Razork really didn't get on in terms of philosophy. Humanoid's way more methodical, play to the game plan, build up the waves, play out the game state. Razork's way more kind of improvisation in the middle of the moment. You strike me as being more methodical, play it by the book. And you're also more likely, now that you're out of Fnatic, to be a bit more plain about potentially some of your annoyances. Everyone I speak to about Fnatic always talks about the top side being what they're annoyed with. Presumably, of those two, you had more of a gripe with Razork than you did with Humanoid.
Mm, maybe, I guess. I mean, I wouldn't really say I'm more the methodical. I feel like I'm kind of in the middle. Like,
Okay.
yeah, I feel like I don't like
You like
over
you
focus
like a bit
on
of
what is
improv
like
as well. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, but I also go for like, is there like maybe like 70, 80% is gonna work. But I do like to flip it sometimes as well. But I don't know if I would have to pick a gripe. You said I don't know. Like I think both had issues. I don't know if I had more issues with one than the other. I feel like yeah, both of them have things to work on, like I guess stubbornness or just in-game stuff about. Actually, yeah, I guess both of them. I could say ego is probably stopping them from getting better at what they do because I feel like that's always an issue with like all pro players. Like a lot of times, your ego stops you from improving. So as long as people can kind of eat that or like leave the ego aside and try to actually play the game and talk to the teammates and try to improve together, it should be pretty easy.
That's interesting. And then, well, I mean, Marek is quite similar to you in some ways because he's just joined Vitality, isn't he? So he's gone back with his ex
Yeah,
as well, which you love to do.
I guess yeah. Yeah, actually, I'm kind of hyped to play against Marek as well. That's gonna be fun.
For sure, that'd be nice. Cool. So you don't really have any? Do you have any funny stories from Fnatic this year? What's some of the funny? Please, come on. You can't just laugh like that. We'd love to hear.
No, I don't.
No, we know you do. Come on, give me
Okay,
something.
there
Come on,
was.
hand over a little morsel.
I can't actually.
Please, please. Come on.
Okay, whatever. So we're playing Chinese solo queue, yeah.
That's the best way to start any story. Yeah, go on.
And I was playing. I was against Upset. Like we were in opposite teams, and he told me, "Oh, go play your Cassante or something," because he wanted to win, right? And he thought Cassante was a troll pick. So I was like, "All right, I lock in my Cassante." So I locked it in, and then I also heard Razork talking to Poby about like, "Oh, you're practicing your TF," and I also saw enemy team has a TF on their team, which is something that Upset did not notice. And in the game, at some point, the TF blue carded me instead of gold carding me, so I kind of escaped and like bought a lot of time or something. And then Upset was just like, "What is my TF doing?" And then he didn't realize there was Poby on his team. But he was, like the whole coaching staff was like behind us, and they were like mega laughing, and I was like dying as well. Like, wait, what did you say? Like, my TF, what the fuck? He can't gold card or something?
It's a
And
really
then
good Spanish impression there.
and that was Upset. But
Oh, oh, then it wasn't
anyway.
a good. Then it wasn't
Then
a
it was
good.
a Spanish version. It was a good Spanish, but maybe not German. But anyway, yeah, it was mega funny. I was dying, and then they lost the game. Obviously, Mike Asante prevailed.
Hmm.
But then Poby said afterwards, the next day, that he didn't even hear any of it anyway. So it wasn't that funny, but it was pretty funny.
What was Poby like? You get on quite well with him, or?
Yeah, it was pretty chill. It was pretty funny, energetic. I mean, I guess he was a bit more energetic at the start than towards the end, but it was a good breath of fresh air. And yeah, he was just very
Do you think a lot of these?
innocent,
Do
I
you think a
guess.
lot of these Korean imports that come on because they inevitably end up being in teams that are quite like depressed at the end of the year? Do you think they just think that Europeans are like really depressed? Like they come over and they're just like, what the fuck are wrong with all these Europeans?
It's possible, yeah.
Why are they so
I
upset
don't
all
know.
the time?
Yeah,
What was I going to ask you? I was going to ask you something I can't remember. Fuck. First time I've lost my train of thought.
the first ever.
It is actually. I rarely do lose my train of thought. What were we talking about? We were talking about funny stories, Chinese solo queue, Poby.
Yeah, we were kind of on the Fnatic topic. But didn't you say like last time we were not gonna go as long as Grabs? But I feel like my
Yeah,
clock
no,
here
well,
says 9.
well,
And we started at 7.
if you want to get going, you can get going, mate. You know what I mean? Have you got somewhere you want to be?
I have some Cassandra to play.
Okay, well, in any case, I think we can pretty much wrap it there then.
Yeah, and
It's
you
been,
also train of thought, so you're
huh?
obviously not focused on this interview. You're obviously not focused if you lost your train of thought.
Excuse me? Wow, that's crazy from you. Why are we wearing a basketball t-shirt? You've never played a game of basketball in your life.
It's anime.
Of course it is. Of course it
Have you ever
is.
heard of it?
No, I haven't. No, actually, is it Karuko no basketball in the middle?
Yeah, it does say Kuroko on the bottom here.
Yeah. No, I've heard of it. I just don't watch it. I personally like to, actually engage in real culture and art. I don't, I'm a 25-year-old man. I don't really watch cartoons and stuff like that. Obviously, you're
Hmm.
free to kind of pretend you're still a child. I know when you came to Berlin when you were young, you like didn't know how to wash your own clothes and stuff like that. So you're still
I did
obviously
actually.
no, you didn't.
I did. 2016. We had a washing machine. I had to learn how to use it.
Yeah, so you had to learn how to use it. You didn't know how to use it when
Yeah.
you came.
Yeah, I didn't know how to use it back then. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
Of
what I
course.
said. That's actually what I said. Um,
Mm-mm.
no, that is what I said. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Interesting. So obviously you want to return back to that, like pretending to be a kid and whatnot, and you still play the children's wizard game. So we
Yes,
wish you the best of
I
luck
do
and
that.
hope you can demonstrate
Thank
more
you.
maturity next year instead of just giving up halfway through. Um,
I'll try my best.
any words for those final statement? Any words up there that potentially don't believe in the project you're doing? They call it the unction. They call it the nepotism FC. They're saying that DonJake's the GM. What do you have to say to those non-believers next year?
I mean, I wanted to say like a very good quote from one of the best athletes in the field. Watch me. That's the one I want to say.
Who's that from?
It's perks. What the fuck?
Oh right, yeah. He wasn't
Yeah, this
really
whole
in the
video.
he wasn't really in the field though, was he? He was mostly in a kind of a quite a dark Berlin apartment a lot of the time.
Whatever it is.
Also, I
You
wouldn't
get the
really
memo.
agree that any of you are athletes, but that's all good. Thank you
Cyber
so
athletes,
much,
professional cyber athletes.
cyber
Thank you very much.
athletes. If that's what you want to tell your parents, I'm
Thank you
sure
very
you can
much.
do it. You have a great time in solo queue. Thank you so much for coming on. You got anything you want to shout out? Anyone you want to give a special word to? Anything you want to say to me?
Nah. Cheers for the interview. I might consider subbing now.
Thank you so much, man. Have a great one. Peace. Make sure you
You
turn
too.
off the browser link because otherwise, if you go and have a wank after this, we're gonna have to watch it.
All right.
Have a good one, mate. Peace.
You too. See ya.